it's time to break down our second match of the day. It's Z and the crew from China's ThunderTalk Gaming versus the Surgical Squad from Korea, Rolster Y. And for Rolster Y's, Isaac making the semifinals was always the goal, and now they have their hearts set on winning it all. Let's take a listen.
일단 처음으로 목표했던 4강에 와서 기분은 좋고요. 4강 할 생각에 많이 설렙니다. 네, 이제 사실 그 세계대회 진행하면 할수록 우승은 꼭 하고 싶다는 생각이 들어가지고 이번 경기 이기고 꼭 우승하겠다로 목표는 바뀌었습니다.
They saw that second game and said, we took that personally. Let's make sure we stomp you here in game 3.
일단 저희 팀의 실수를 최대한 없애고 그리고 개개인의 기량을 대회 때 좀 더 끌어올려서 팀합을 좀 더 맞춰야 된다고 생각합니다. 여기까지 온 게 좀 믿기진 않지만 그래도 4강 잘 준비해서 이기고 결승까지 꼭 가도록 하겠습니다.
No! That is it! Rolster Y in a 3-game series sweep will answer the call from Sengoku Gaming, send them home, and advance to the knockout stage for the semifinals.
Now I want to kick things off with some predictions. So who do you think will claim the last spot in the Horizon Cup Finals? Arakizora, you're first, brother.
Yeah, so I'm fully expecting this upcoming series to be really close no matter who the winner is going to be. Possibly go the distance and give us our first full 5-game match. But I do have Rolster Y winning 3-1. At the same time, though, I don't expect it to be easy. I think it's going to be really tough, and it's probably going to be really close.
Ooh, that's spicy. We'll come back to you in just a second. Smacks, who you got in this series? You going with Rolster?
I'm surprised. I'm going ThunderTalk. I'm going ThunderTalk 3-1. Okay. I do have a feeling that it is going to be close, but I really do favor the star power on this squad, specifically the solo lanes.
Oh, Smack's thinking it's going to be an all-Chinese final. I got to ask here, Araki, what in Rolster's play is making you think they're going to take the win here?
Yeah, so we touched very briefly about how they kind of did look shaky in their quarterfinals at the beginning of the show. But the good news for Rolster Y is that the formula for beating ThunderTalk has been laid on. It's fairly simple, but harder done than said. The formula starts with denying Feibai his Renekton. It's a free getaway card that top laners who can't match their opponent, and in my opinion, there is a big mismatch between Feibai and Rattel. Rolster Y letting Sengoku have it in the quarterfinals is particularly why they struggled a little bit. So I would like to see them get rid of the Renekton, expose Feibai for the fake top laner that he really is, because he was a mid laner who lane swapped over, right? And allow him to get slapped by Rattel with a reality check for the first time facing a legitimate Baron laner in the tournament. I also think that on top of denying Feibai the Renekton, they could possibly deny him the Diana, because Isaac looked very comfortable on it, and they might want to prioritize it for him anyways.
All right, and again, you kind of bring up a point again for fans that have forgotten or didn't remember. Z was the top laner for ThunderTalk, had to rotate to the mid lane because of some of the visa issues. Feibai comes in, has had this Renekton card that has been able to be played, and so that you think is the way in here for Rolster. For Smacks here, I kind of want to know, what's ThunderTalk's way in here?
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that Z previously was the Baron laner on the squad, because in many ways, he does play like it. He does really want on these Bruiser champions to escape mid lane as soon as possible and start being a secondary top laner. He wants to go down in that side lane, whether it be top or bot, and farm his hearts away and make sure that he gets really fed for the late game. We've seen it on Riven, Zed, Yasuo, and even this Malphite that we're getting a clip of as well. Very fun stuff from before against Ebro. I'm really excited for Z, and I feel like for Rolster, with the way that they played against Sengoku, which was very controlled, very calculated, I feel like it might take too long for them to shut this player down.
And I want to emphasize how pivotal this mid lane matchup is going to be in this series, especially since we did just see Zed be such a strong pick in the match between the DKG and Team Secret. And like I highlighted very shortly, both of these mid laners do play it. Z prefers it quite a bit. Isaac showed it one time, looked fantastic on it. So how this mid lane goes can definitely dictate the entire series and dictate the entire map.
All right, well, we heard your breakdowns, we heard your predictions. Time for the MasterCard fan predictions. Smacks, you're going to want to see this. 76%. You see that? 76% of fans are rolling with Rolster. What do you got to say about that?
First of all, you guys are wrong. It's definitely going to be ThunderTalk. I'm definitely going to be right. I mean, have you seen Z's play? Yeah, I'm still sticking by me. I'm not going to get peer pressured by the MasterCard fan.
Rocky, what do you think?
I think we have some really smart audience members
Of
watching
course.
and voting for these. Yeah, voting for these predictions. I'm glad they have faith, as I do, in KT Rolster.
All right, well, the professor has spoken. We're split here on the analyst desk to figure out who's right. Let's hand it on over to Pastry and TJ to get into our last semifinal.
Thank you very much, Jigan. Very excited to be here for the second semi-final here. TJ, the Horizon Cup is almost over. It is this best of 5 and tomorrow's best of 7 until we're all done here.
Don't say that to me. Every single game, we almost didn't make up and get on desk in time because we were so engrossed in the last series. Yeah, producers definitely don't hear this. But we were rooting for Team Secret. We were caught up with the moment. We almost didn't make it here in time. It's heartbreaking that we're going to have to keep cutting down the number of teams here.
Certainly is, but I'm glad it's not all sweep. Certainly hoping this series goes the distance, which I almost feel like it definitely has the propensity to do so. If nothing else, expect these games to go pretty long.
Yeah, I mean, any game that has KT in it, you know is going to take a while.
Yeah.
But KT, I mean, we have this very interesting kind of countermatch where on one side it's KT who always want to go late game, who always want to go for the team fight, unless Rattel randomly wins them a game. And on the other side, you have this ThunderTalk squad that is so focused around individual play, that is so focused around what Z can bring to an early game. So it's going to be either a breakout early game win off of the power of what Z and what Fabai can offer to an early game, or we're going to have to see what they can bring to a late game team fight. If we watch KT Rolster contain those individual threats over the course of the first, I would say, 8-10 minutes of the game, then these games, these series are going to be decided by team fights, probably at the 15-minute or later mark, which is maybe the most exciting prediction I could make for this series.
Yeah, I think the thing that's interesting to me is, like, you know, KT are in many ways like a very deliberate, very patient, and a very inevitable team. It feels like if they're set up and they get the team fight they want and the map control they want, it is very hard to wrestle victory away from them.
Yeah, I mean, KT are playing this kind of Korean style. If you watch the WCK, which is the Korean Wild Rift League, you're always going to get these long games where the first 8 minutes are kind of nothing happening, and then you get the first dragon fight, but it's a 3v3 skirmish, nobody full commits, no teams ever get wiped, and then both teams sit tight for a bit, and then around second, third Drake, that's when you 5v5 team fight, and the person who wins that 5v5 usually wins the game. It's a style that's going to be very familiar to anyone who's watched Korean teams play in League of Legends PC. And they've kind of brought that here, and there are some weaknesses. We've seen them kind of get thrown off their game if somebody gets really aggressive into them early game. We've seen them struggle to end games, because usually games just end by virtue of how late the game is and how long the timers are. So those are two things that ThunderTalk can look to exploit here.
We'll see what happens here in Draft Game 1. Champion Select is underway. We're almost here for our first battle between ThunderTalk and Rolster Y. Camille is going to get pushed off the board. I do expect Rattel to eat quite a few bans, and I expect Z to eat a number as well, as Zed's going to get taken off the board.
And the other side, of course, is this ThunderTalk side that is getting targeted. Zed instantly got banned out as Z has looked so strong on it all tournament long, and he really has been the center of this team. ThunderTalk made it from the lower bracket in the WPL qualifier, clean swept the grand finals, got their revenge over OMG, get here, and 3 of their players are backed by visas.
Yep.
So they have to rebuild the team, and this new ThunderTalk roster has kind of become a cohesive team on the stage here at the Horizon Cup. Much of it revolving around their star mid laner.
Goodness gracious, is the way to start this series.
Yeah.
So Malphite got banned, which is hilarious. We'll talk about that later. But Renekton and Ziggs, which are very reasonable, leaving Riven open. And we've already seen it. Like, if you're not aware kind of what TJ's talking about, Z was the Baron laner for ThunderTalk, and he was exceptionally good. Arguably one of the best, if not the best individual player in the world for Wild Rift right now. But he's the mid laner for this tournament because they have to swap things around. And he still plays Riven. And it doesn't really matter where he goes with it. He still kills everyone.
And they have some flexibility from it. As a result, Riven, of course, is being played in the jungle, in the top lane, in standard meta. Z's presence, as you mentioned, means that it can be played mid. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and Rolster need to prepare for any outcome. That's why you get the Diana here. Diana could be played in a couple different roles, but most likely it's going mid. The reason you drafted Diana mid this early in the draft is because it will keep Isaac safe from the pressure of Z. Because Isaac needs a character that can play a little more defensively, has the ability to just turn on shields, has the Moonfall to deny a full Riven combo, and it's a very smart pick into what they assume is mid-Riven.
And to be fair, Rolster's road to get here, right, through their quarterfinal into the semi, was Isaac's Diana doing a lot of work in those 5v5s. So definitely excited to see that champion for them once more. There's Darius lending more credence to Z getting that Riven once again, and Varus here for Azure. Not a pick we've seen kind of as much as I thought we would, to be honest, but definitely still a potent champion in the right hands. And this is dangerous here for Rolster. They are basically throwing the gauntlet over to ThunderTalk, saying, you know what, your blue side, have Riven, see if you can beat us with it.
Yeah, and this is something that you have to expect if you watch Rolster play this season of kind of competitive play. They're a very good drafting team, and much of that success in draft hinges around their ability to figure out counters to their opponent, as opposed to just try and take things away. So they take away the things they feel they can't counter, which, as you mentioned, hilariously enough, does include Malphite, but also the Zed mid. And they go, okay, if you're playing Riven, we can play a more defensive mid here. With Isaac over on this Diana, and our wins can come instead from Doe, who's had a couple of absolutely insane performances this tournament, and they're going to give Doe this Graves and hope that he gets big enough he can be the majority of this team's damage in the mid-late game team fights where Rolster want to win.
Yeah, definitely felt like Doe and Isaac are a duo that were rivaling Hawk and Rush yesterday when they defeated Sengoku. They did very good in that matchup, so I think they are up to the task of containing Z and Chris. But it's kind of the inverse, right? In this case, it's Doe in some ways being supported by Isaac's Diana, and it's the opposite side. Chris is going to always be there for Z on this Nunu.
Yeah. So the Nunu, kind of the supportive character, as you said, is going to show up very early in the lane, threaten this Diana, and try and apply pressure. I do want to flag something else that's happened here in the draft. This is, I believe, our first tournament Jhin. I think it got played during the Origin series, but I could be wrong about that.
Definitely haven't seen him a lot.
No, certainly not a very popular pick. And he does have damage. The problem is that you're playing this into a Nunu, you're playing this into a Darius. There's going to be a lot of targets that eat up the damage. So what makes sense to me here is that, one, Rolster think they have a power pick. They think they have this crazy out-of-meta pick that they're going to bring out and win on the world stage in the semifinals, which is already exciting. But second of all, they're going to try and keep this at a distance. You've got this very clear front line. That's going to be Isaac on this Diana, Salem playing the Thresh, and presumably Rattel on this Gragas. They're going to hold the front. You're going to put Doe in that mix as the big late game damage dealer. With that all set up, behind them sits this Jhin, and Luna's going to try and pump out damage from range, kiting as he does on Corki.
Right, I was going to say, we've seen him so much on Corki this tournament. Luna being a late game damage threat, standing in the right place is definitely not an accident when you watch this player. Obviously doesn't have the, the little escape button that Corki has with the package with the Valkyrie as well. But if Rolster do the thing they've done all tournament and play good solid 5v5s with Luna being protected properly, it is very, very tough to beat them here. On the other side, though, there are definitely ways for ThunderTalk to find their way into that backline. Z is going to be looking to dive in.
Yeah, well, what's curious to me is that is going to have to be a front-to-back dive unless he finds a crazy flank. Rolster always want to hold the front-to-back. That's why they have the Gragas. That's why they have these frontline tanks. And they want to force you to fight into that with their AD carry, specifically Luna and Doe in this game sitting behind that. And I don't believe ThunderTalk have enough threats to properly avoid that. They're going to opt into the front-to-back, and they've got a Nami support. That's going to be their secret to beating him. The Nami support is very good against front-to-back teamfights because the combination of Tidal Wave and Bubble can just utterly immobilize the front line so that they don't get their CC off, so that they just take soak damage. And they're opting into it. They're saying, we see Rolster-wise late-game teamfights, we see their objective fights, we're going to take that toe-to-toe.
Yeah, definitely a fun one here. ThunderTalk going to take to the Rift up against Rolster in our second semi-final. We'll see if they can break They're pretty unbreakable. Rolster Y, they do not let you in very often in the late game, as it's going to be a very exciting start to the series. But as a reminder, if you do have yourself an Amazon Prime account and you're liking yourself some Wild Rift, be sure to link your Prime Gaming and the Wild Rift account for free in-game loot. I am happy to report, TJ, I did finally do this after forgetting after every single day of the tournament.
What did you get?
I got a Singed skin. It kind of looks like Vayne. It's great.
Love it.
Can't wait for my ARAM game on Singed, and I can finally use it.
But there are some SEA players that play Singed, so maybe we can get you those mods.
I'm ready.
Rolster, do start this game up in the top lane, and I want to put a lot of focus here on Retell, because Retell has been a breakout star for Rolster, and he's playing Gragas, which may on its surface not seem like an incredibly important character to this game, but as we saw actually during the last series when the character was in Llama's hands, Gragas' CC chains are next to none. He's going to be the key interrupter of the frontline engage.
This is a very nice CC chain, speaking of here in the mid lane, but Chris only dips in briefly. Izak gonna back away.
Yeah, not enough damage during this early game to kill Izak. Chris isn't going to really have that until, I would say, 2-3 minutes in. But you can already see the early pressure. That's going to cost Izak gold. He's forced to spend barrier there. He's forced to back away from wave. And Doe needs to come in order to repair that. Now they're going to try and punish that map movement.
Another little roll into mid here. We do have S12K roaming up as well, but instead it's topside. It could be in a spot of bother. Doe is here near the crab, but Retell is actually rebuffing Feibai without the help here. So now Chris has found, oh my goodness, over the angle over the top. He's looking for it. That's the first blood. That is disastrous early on for Rolster.
Exactly what you don't want when you're playing into ThunderTalk. Z finding an early kill as Rolster take a little bit too long on their first scuttle crab. They drift up there, take their time. And Z's able to clean up a kill.
This is very ambitious here from S12K, just zoning Retell away, but Retell's going to respect it and back off.
Nami hurts. People don't give Nami enough respect during the early game.
Going back in to watch this one again.
There's a powered auto attacks.
Ooh, what a flash from Izak, but it didn't matter.
Yep, very well played by everyone here, but Izak was already half HP. And Z is just able to finish it off. They still don't have a ton of damage during this early game, but it's enough if they're already low.
And that's 700 gold up now for Z. Has the ulti at the ready. Got the ignite back after the early gank from Chris. This is a scary start on the Rolster side, and great news for ThunderTalk fans, because the one constant has been when Z is doing well, ThunderTalk can find an avenue to win.
And the only game Z hasn't done well has been the only games they've lost. Wow.
Oh, that is just filthy. Izak in so much trouble. There's the second kill.
Chris just lives here. He rolls immediately out of base with the snowball, comes all the way down mid lane, and it's perfectly timed. Izak thinks he has an opportunity to go in, doesn't understand why he's playing so frisky, and then finds out all too suddenly that he's got backup.
It's just the Nunu Classic at this point. Nothing to do but roll into your lane with a big old snowball. And this is why they pick it right. Chris can just constantly re-aggress any lane, but really it's just mid lane.
Yeah, on a normal composition, you would be talking about this Nunu's propensity to gank every lane, but for ThunderTalk, it is the Z show. I actually want to bring up, I was talking to Grandin down on the stage floor, and he, as a talented, multilingual, very intelligent person, was eavesdropping on ThunderTalk. And this is their game plan. Their coach was saying, focus in on Z, focus in on their mid lane, because that's our win condition, and my, does it reflect in the way they play the map.
Yeah, didn't have much other time to build plans when you upended your roster coming into the tournament, so kind of makes sense. Great hook there out of Salem. Luna gonna maybe re-engage it. Chris gets away. I thought we were gonna trade for a second there in objectives, but teams have decided that they don't want to give either of them away. It's the Rift Herald and the Infernal Drake, both of which are very powerful.
Yeah, Infernal Drake, the only Drake you will see teams fight for over a Rift Herald. Here's the thing though, Rolster have never seen a dragon in their life. They know what they are. They always go for the Herald, so we're gonna get a full fight here.
Ready with his first item picked up already, so this could be big here for ThunderTalk if they can find the right angle. Chris on the approach, gonna zone out Retell. Feibai looking for the pullback, doesn't find it. Now they're on the Herald.
Yeah, Lantern in is giving vision, but it looks like Rolster are making the call to sacrifice that, and I like it. You're playing through a Graves, you're playing through a late game. There's no damage here yet for Rolster, especially into a boosted Z, especially into Z with that much early game gold. Just hit the pause button, try and slow down this game.
I don't know if you want to be fighting here, Isaac, but he's going to go for it. Does get some damage back in. Moonfall pop, that's a big amount of burst. Z with the Ignite back down. They're dueling, and I'm not sure what's happened yet, but Isaac's dead. That's Z getting the solo kill.
By a sliver of HP. Here's the Rift Herald summon in mid.
Sailing at it again. Great hook there into the box. Rift Herald charged down. Nami going to be A-OK. There's no follow-up here. Luna is busy trying to shoot down Shelly. So across the board, ThunderTalk are going to win in every possible position.
And Z even manages to shove this entire wave underneath turret, which gives free reign for this Infernal to be taken.
Bye-bye. Oh, he's out. Nice cast there.
Explosive cask. An excellent denial tool. But yeah, ThunderTalk win mid, take the turret plates, win the fight down bottom, and take the trade.
So it's like we're again here now. Axe replay. This was a nice pick to kick it off.
Very cleanly done as Doe goes down without a chance to answer back. And here's the action. We missed down bottom. That was nasty.
He's so good. I mean, coming into the tournament, shout out to Smacks. He was like, you know what? You should watch out for this Z guy. He's got some of the best mechanics I've ever seen. And he wasn't wrong. I'll tell you that much. Just bye-bye. Getting a bit of his own there, getting the solo kill there on Rattel, who's starting to fall to pieces on the Gragas in top side. ThunderTalk just across the board are smashing these lanes.
Oh, and the emotes are coming out. It's a Penguin who's just asking some questions, phase 3. Z managing to get off to an early start and immediately reinvested. Isaac now so far behind on this Diana that was picked again as a safer, more passive lane pick. There's no way he can win these duels at this point. And Rolster, as ever, need to just slow down the game. Play at this point to the 15-minute mark.
Well, if there's one thing they're good at, it's definitely that. But with this early gold lead of about 3,000, especially getting that first Herald and getting the Infernal Drake, that might be tough going here for Rolster.
And the devastating part is ThunderTalk do have a draft that spikes in the mid game. Right around the time the Ribbon starts to come online, you're also going to see that Muramana over in Azura's pocket complete. And all of a sudden, that Varus is going to be doing likely the most damage he will all game. So ThunderTalk, they're going to keep going for these.
Gangs all here. Chris with the Tokyo Drift around the side of the turret. Tidal wave not too bad. Azura now getting kicked around. It's Jin firing him, but he's just ignoring him. Luna's like, come on, man, I'll do some damage. And Fable's like, nah, dog. Just dive in Rattel and taking him out under the turret.
A water gun from extreme range. Luna doing absolutely nothing with his current call. And that is just devastating for Rolster.
He's like 1v2ing the mid lane, and I'm trying to watch the dive that's happening. As Salem, oh, he dodges it. That's a very nice little maneuver out of the snowball, but unfortunately, a bit of Space Jam there as Fabai takes down Salem with the dunk.
Well, Pastry, I don't want to quite say this game is over because there is the chance Rolster make it last another 15 minutes. But short of that, there is no easy way back into this game for the Korean side.
Yeah, it feels like everywhere Rolster want to go, there's just absolute hostility whenever ThunderTalk show up. I mean, we haven't seen Z for a few minutes because he's just been vibing in the side lanes.
Which is what he does in these games. Anytime he's able to get out of lane and just go back to being a top laner, pick up a couple waves of farm, he's going to do so. And that's one of the ways that Z somehow consistently always has the most gold in the late game. You can see him now 1,000 gold ahead of the next closest player at 8,400 compared to the next closest player, which is of course Azure and Z carry, only at 7,000.
All right, well, small win there as Doe does get the blue buff. It was not stolen away by Azura's piercing arrow, but Chris is clearing out wards. Rift Herald's been spawned. Oh, it's been spawned. I don't even know where they put the first one, to be honest. Probably in a tower that's already dead. As ThunderTalk do have one of those taken out in the mid lane.
Yep. And the big focus here for Rolster is this Graves. Doe is the way to get back into the game.
Oh goodness, he's 1v3ing them. He dodged the first hook, he's going in, he finds the ulti, splashes in! A literal 1v3, Z almost got the kill! Saved by the thresh, but not so lucky out of Isaac. And he actually got them both! Doe died as well!
He dives into a 1v3, and Z finds 2 kills!
What's happening? Chris is just solo ulting Rattel! This poor Gragas, absolute zero health, he loses most of it, and here's Fabai charging on him with the Yeet Pelt. It's just chaos, and Rolster cannot keep up.
It's ThunderTalk speeding up the game early, and Rolster, who rely on those late game, fair 5v5 team fights, the honorable Korean way to play League of Legends, are not getting them.
Not very fair when enemy is up 9,000 gold and the enemy Riven is 500 with 2 items, 1v1ing you under your tower. Basically, actually did 1v3 you and kill 2 of you. It was a legitimate 1v3.
And Luna, I don't know whether or not this Jhin is at fault. I don't want to say that the pick is completely invaluable, but needs 2-3 items and just isn't doing anything with Ghostblade at this point. So the only damage threat that I believe in that could activate this game is Doe at 3rd item. He's completed Bloodthirster now, which is going to give him some drain tank potential, but he needs crit in order to really do damage in these team fights. So you're still at least 2-3 minutes away from Doe being a damage threat.
This was absolutely sick.
I don't want to watch it.
I don't want to watch it. Yeah, there's the Ignite that killed Doe, and he's actually just left out to dry.
Left the lantern, to be honest.
Yeah? Actually, yeah, that would have been a good thing. Instead, it's Charge Blade now done for Z. He's 11,000 gold. That is clear of everyone. He is 2,000 gold ahead of the next Fed member on his own team, let alone the total advantage that ThunderTalk currently have over Rolster. You said it a few minutes ago, it's not over, but boy does it feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, it is over except for Rolster's wave clear and ability to slow down games, which they are remarkably good at. I don't want to paint that as a likely opportunity.
This is quite a tall task.
Yeah.
Even for a team as good at stalling as Rolster, and I say that lovingly. They are very good at getting themselves to fair late games and winning 5v5s by out-executing. It's just as you said, it's not a fair fight.
You do see that crit being built now on Doe. That's kind of what they're focusing on in a Dream World. Rolster gets to wait for Doe to complete what is probably Infinity Edge as his 3rd item before anything happens here.
Alrighty, Rattel lines it up on Fayway. Here comes Doe. This is a good kill for him to try and get here, but gonna go in with a bounce, gets the upper hand, spin him back around, looking for the kill. Rattel gonna get flashed on the Q, is not enough. Does get the kill, it's close, but it's not close enough.
Turret taken in the opposite side of the map though. The Rift Herald summoned and it's going to collide with the inhibitor.
Yeah, this is going to be it. Zio just flashes in, gets to the tidal waves there. Great to enhance up the ribbon. Doesn't get the kill, but takes the inhibitor tower. And now Salem going to try and run interference as Chris might be left for dead, but the Aftershock proxy's pretty tanky. Rattel back down in here. It's a 4v5. I don't think it matters. Chris, he flashed on in with the absolute zero. He's going for it. The absolute madland as the rest of ThunderTalk go through, but Z has been slain. Luna gets the key kill. It's Rolster out of nowhere, winning themselves a team fight.
ThunderTalk overstretched. They play with 3 players into Rolster's base. It eventually becomes a 3v4v5 as ThunderTalk are trying to press forward, trying to end the game then and there, and Z makes a bizarre call to dive into 4 players, thinking he can shut them all down. And Rolster are not going to let you get away with that. They are a darn good team. Ezek lands the CC. The composition works exactly as intended, with Ezek's CC joined by Rattel, able to soak that aggression up and return it in kind. Doe, Luna starting to deal real damage here in the late game.
As you said, it's 3 items now for Doe. Look at Luna who got that kill on Z. 2.5 items now done as he's cruising towards item number 3. It's still a long shot. ThunderTalk are very far ahead in this game still, but it is, as it often is with Rolster, there is a way.
There is a way, and Rolster are going to make darn sure that we see that through. Rolster get the Dream team fight there as well, front to back. That's the other thing to watch here as we enter the late game team fights that ThunderTalk frankly should not have allowed Rolster to have. See if they can get in behind Rolster. Luna and Doe are both pretty vulnerable if Z can get in range of them, but they're pretty invulnerable if that full tank frontline we were just talking about with Ezek, Rattel, and Salem can just soak up all the damage and build space for them to play from.
Dragon up in 2 seconds. Ezek was busy in the silent, but has to go and recall now.
And ward on it, that's what Ezek was able to do there, getting kind of sneaking down the sideline, putting a ward in there. It is just a Clown Drake. We'll see if Rolster feel they can contest. I don't think they should.
Yeah, I don't think they should either, and I think that's the decision they've also come to. I mean, still have many more towers to take. They can try. They're going to go over there. Z's going to run interference.
Yeah, I think this was the game plan for Rolster. They were saying, hey, if we see 2-3 people over on this Drake, we should force a fight elsewhere. And ThunderTalk, unfortunately for them, are came to that. They send Z over.
Oh my goodness, he's sending it. All right, he unscented. That was good. Return that little bit of mail. Wrong address. Make sure it gets delivered to the right place, which is the team fight that ThunderTalk are going to want to take here if they can bait them towards the Baron and find a good angle. Z split pushing top lane right now, though.
Yeah, Rolster, again, thanking every moment that they can farm gold, that they can slow down this game. And it's working out for them. ThunderTalk, if they want to wrap this game up in the next couple of minutes, which they should, need to just force this Baron. Clear the wards around it, force it, have somebody running interference, be that Feibai, be that Z. The rest of the team just burning Baron. Unfortunately, they do have a relatively slow Baron take. Azure on the Varus doesn't exactly melt it. So there is a big vulnerability there, and I'm beginning to suspect that ThunderTalk are worried about it, very aware of what Rolster's seeing.
You can see they don't want to give them an easy 5v5 by walking into a pit without the proper vision, without the proper setup, but they're gonna have to start it at some point, like you said.
So here we go. Baron started by ThunderTalk. Feibai running the interference as predicted.
Z actually splitting on the other side, has taken out the lane that still has supers in it, I might remind you. Did take that tower a number of minutes ago before they delayed the game by throwing themselves at Rolster, but Z is soloing Doe! That just completely opens up the game. They gift over Baron. Luna going to be dead as well. Z just going for it all. He's got the GA. Now going to get himself revived, sitting in a 1v3. But he bought the space his team needs. He still goes Luna at the end of it. Are you kidding me? And now Feibai is killing Rattel. It's so close, but he doesn't grab it. He's in a 1v3, but the tidal wave is coming up, and ThunderTalk, that's going to open up the game. We talked about the explosive solo laners, and they get the kills they need, but Ezek's fighting back.
Ezek needs to step up to save the game there. He's the only player with damage left on the map. And in a 1v2, he does so, stalling out the aggression from ThunderTalk. And with Z dead, Rolster able to last a moment longer. ThunderTalk did get the Baron during that play, and they're going to push with it down the mid lane, down the bottom lane, and try and end this game.
I feel like this game should have been over twice now, and yet Rolster have still held on. Despite losing their inhibitor, despite losing the Baron.
RFC done now for Luna. He had that for the last fight. He's building towards his next crit item, so he's going to start doing some very serious damage on this Jhin. We'll see if he can stay alive long enough in the back of the team fights. It is all about that. Doe, Luna need to be protected. Otherwise, Z will gain access to them, melt them, and this game will be over.
And we saw Z is unrelenting in his pressure, right? He waltzed through 3 people to get 2 kills. One on the jungler to skewer the Baron, and poor Luna just got massacred at the end, chopped up by a Hawker Salami. So it's rough out there. But if any team can protect against a Rampage of Riven, it is going to be a team like Rolster.
Yeah, I will say it was a mistake from Doe to be vulnerable to it. Z was rotating up from the bottom lane. That was fairly predictable, and Doe was just caught in front of his turret. And that's a positioning problem. Doe, who's maybe not used to being the hard carry of this team, needs to get used to the fact that if he is not standing literally behind his tanks, he is leaving his team vulnerable. Here we go, for the game.
One more tower, the siege certainly could be it. ThunderTalk looking to still crack through a few more. They got the supers on the way, but they're going to be a little bit late here. Z, can you walk up? He wants to. I don't think he can safely, so he's going to back away, but
Elder Ocean, the Elder Ocean is up in just 10 seconds. ThunderTalk can't just break away from this siege and go for the Ocean. They're going to do exactly that.
So you're going to take the rep up on the way out. A touch greedy, but definitely fits the profile of the player we've been watching all Horizon Cup long. Oh, I love this. Leave your Riven up there to split and just be confident in actually the Nunu solo.
He's on a ward though.
Not
Chris
anymore.
was spotted, so they know exactly what's going on here. Z, split pushing in the meantime. Does take an inhibitor turret. Here's the play.
And Nunu can just solo start this, so now Chris turns it back around. They're going to collapse, actually looking for the 5v5. The Lantern's out. Z flashes in. That's the kill they're looking for, the stasis. I don't think that's going to be enough, and Doe just melt. The rest of the squad goes in as Rolster are trying to find the fight, but Feiba's got the dump. He's popping up for the resets. Luna's all the way in the back end of it. Z is dead, Chris is dead, but the rest of the squad live, and that is all ThunderTalk need to take game 1.
Luna, 1v3, needs to do the impossible.
I think it is unfortunately going to be just that. Even if he can defend here, every single lane is infested with super minions. They're so far away from somebody respawning to help this poor Jhin. 20 seconds on Salem, and now they're just going to go in there, apprehend bubble, see you later, lights out. Game 1 belongs to ThunderTalk.
Slow and steady, ThunderTalk grind out the win. They find an early acceleration for their carries in the mid lane, and they never look back.
Yeah, if anything, a little slap on the wrist in the mid game for maybe letting it take that long.
Yeah, I mean, there's clearly both teams showed a little bit here. Obviously, ThunderTalk demonstrate that danger that lies in their mid lane, what happens if you let Z get out ahead, but also Rolster are no slouches, and by the late game, the fact that they're taking and winning those team fights down 10,000, 5,000 gold is a mark of just how powerful they are in those organized 5v5s.
Agree. I will say though that my kind of two big takeaways for ThunderTalk are still holding true. We talked about that solo laners. Feibai kind of slaps, I'm not going to lie. I was a little doubtful of the mid laner swapping the Baron lane at the last minute, but he is, like his team, playing into his new role as the tournament progresses. And the other one is very simple, TJ. Stop bloody giving C Riven if you want to win the game.
Yeah, and we saw the theory there. Isaac just looked outclassed.
Yeah.
He's a very good player. We saw that in the late game team fights. He's very good on Diana, and I do think Diana is a sensible and good pick into the mid Riven. And it just did not matter. None of those things mattered.
No.
He just lost the 1v1s in the middle of the map because Z could not be defeated in just mechanics checks.
Yeah, definitely, if you're looking to skill check a player, find anyone else. Find me. Come find me. Oh, you'll beat me for sure. But definitely not Z.
Center mid. I don't know.
You don't need mechanics play center mid. It's all about encouraging your teammates to run at the enemy towers. Though, for more on ThunderTalk's first win, we're going to check in with our friends, the Tigers, Oma, and Grandin, hanging out in Singapore.
Thank you, Pastry Time. What a way to kick off the series, right? ThunderTalk definitely making a statement of one of the reasons why people are so looking forward to seeing them play time and time again. And time again, I got my buddies here to break it all down. We got Omo, we got Grandin. But just like is the theme of the day, the draft already had some interesting components. Jhin coming out for the first time here.
Yeah, in isolation, if you look at the Jhin pick, it's a pretty good answer to the Varus. But the problem is, when you unpack how Rolster Y like to play the game and how they've been winning, a lot of the carry performances do come from Luna, do come from Intel, and they were not in a position to deliver in this game.
And we saw some unfortunate moments of Luna trying to make stuff happen early, but it didn't quite work out. And for ThunderTalk, just emphasizing more and more, wanting to focus on that top lane and keeping Rattel very suppressed.
Absolutely. I think Feibai had a great performance here. There was definitely some question as to how he's going to act with a bit of a limited champion pool in the Baron lane, but frankly, with the Darius, he had such an amazing performance.
And that's the exact same point that we heard when we were talking to the Chinese commentators as well. They wanted to root for the ThunderTalk team, they wanted to root for their home team, but they had concerns. Feibai's champion pool. But I think ThunderTalk's draft coming into this game just set him up so well, protected him so well against Rattel, and he was just popping off.
Yeah, we focus so much on Z, but a lot of members of ThunderTalk definitely pulling their weight, whereas if you look over on the opposite side at Rolster, it felt like it had to be the Doe show for anything to happen.
And that's exactly the thing here. Doe is the only one who has initiated to take over the game here. I mean, Isaac does too, right? But he's shut down so hard by Z in the mid lane. And the problem is, if your jungler is the only one able to carry, and all three lanes lose, your jungler's not going to do much.
ThunderTalk, right off the start, it was around 2 minutes that they brought 4 members to that top side to be able to execute some kills, but it was solo kills, a lot of skill checking that really kicked things off.
I mean, ThunderTalk are just kind of cracked. You look at Z, the guy's not human, right? I need to go check out the makeup artist, whether or not that was actual skin. She was just touching up.
The cybernetics.
Was it cold? Did you feel metal to the touch?
Right, because surely this guy is not an actual human being. He's a machine, his precision. I mean, the rest of his team's doing well for sure, but I think anybody could do well if Z is single-handedly pulling 4 plays to his side.
Yeah, if you have any doubt of how important Z is to the team, you look at that fight around 12 minutes where there was the kill that was achieved by Rolster, but it was just on Z. But he's that so important that you think of him as 2 players, right? He's got a bounty on his head all the time and so much value when you eventually shut him down.
Yeah, exactly. And when you think about how hard it is to kill him in this game as well, that's exactly the point that I think is just so important. Look at the play in the bottom lane tier 1 where he took on 3 members and he killed 2 and he got out alive. That's just not fair. This man is a machine.
Yeah, I mean, we came into this saying, oh, is he the best player here? We've brought that up time and time again on both analyst desks, and we wondered, how is he going to do after that role swap to the mid lane? But it's almost like that experience across the board is really playing into just his value as a player.
I mean, going from the mid lane to the Baron lane was his initial move, and so coming back, it's like a return. It's a home homecoming for
Return
him.
of the King.
Absolutely, it's the return of the king, and now his performance kind of just exemplifies that, because now not only can he play mid lane picks, he's also gone and learned the Riven, he's gone and learned stuff like the Renekton, Fiora, everything that he wants to bring in the Baron lane, he can now also play mid.
Yeah, other mid laners are pulling out the Riven, but there's something a bit different when you have somebody that was in the Baron lane prior that's able to come out and execute on the pick so superbly.
It really just hits different when it's someone like Z playing it, when he has experience in both mid lane and the Baron lane. He's so versatile, his mechanics are so on point. There's just not much to say.
And now over on the side of Rolster, saying a little more about what they can try and do for the rest of this series, because it felt like they didn't really want to have to fight, but all of the action was being brought towards them. What adjustments do you want to see from them going into the rest?
Okay, I think first off, we have to set the stage, the context for these two teams. Both of them scrim each other a lot. The head coaches on both sides know each other, and so they set up a lot of games between both sides. So right now, I don't think it's a matter of having secret strategies, pocket strats. It's about playing the best form of Wild Rift you can, and we've seen that when you have Luna on a carry, Rattel, and power to make things happen.
Yeah, how important do you feel, Omo, that Luna is to the success of Rolster and a lot of the team fights in their prior series really being able to perform?
Yeah, I mean, when you give him the right champions, he will perform. If you look at his Lucian yesterday, he was an instrumental part of the trio that KT took over Sengoku Gaming. But besides Luna, I want to look more at Rattel. I'm going to make a bit of a prediction here. In the next game, we're going to see the Renekton unbanned, and we're going to see more picks unlocked here for Rattel to actively contest Feibai.
Look, I'm just going to add in this quick little tidbit. Between the bot lane, they have a 15-year age gap.
All right, we'll see what comes from that age gap. We're going to take a little bit of a gap of a break. I guess that kind of works here. Hitting it to a break, and on the other side, we'll have game 2 of the semifinal series.
Welcome back to our matchup here between ThunderTalk and Rolster Y. Game 1. Not quite as easy as I thought it would have been and as it would have looked here, Smacks, for ThunderTalk, but they were able to eventually close it out against a Rolster Y that did not want to roll over.
It took them a while, but I think it was definitely in their hands the entire time. You could see even by the end of it, around the Baron buff that Chris was, you know, dutifully taking. He's like taking his time with it. Guys, I'm on Baron. And then Z and Feibai are just off in no man's land going and killing everybody. It was definitely in their hands. They were having some fun.
Well, we're going to bring you the draft here from the analyst, Saraki. Real quick before the draft starts, what is the key thing you want to see from this draft?
Okay, so I'd like to see different between last game and this game is to have Rattel play strong side rather than weak side like they did last game. The Gragas and Darius matchup is so unplayable. You absolutely cannot do anything. There's literally nothing that can Rattel do in that. And I feel like a big win condition, as we discussed earlier, is having Rattel snowball the top side, especially if they do deny Renekton, which they did through the bans. So that is an adaptation that I would like to see KT show and show that they can be flexible in the best of series.
All right, well, we start it right here. Rolster on the blue side will go first. ThunderTalk on the red side will go second. The Zed must be banned, and it is. So I think we were talking here, Smacks. Zed must be banned. What was the other one that must be banned? And then the Renekton must be banned.
Yeah.
And
This one feels a bit debatable for me, the Malphite. It seems like they were just a little bit too scarred watching what Z did to Ebro the other day in group stage with this pick. I feel like the Riven is more threatening to me, although now that Rolster Y are on blue side, perhaps they're more thinking that they can first pick it away.
Rocky.
Well, so there's already a big difference in this game that the side selection has changed. So now when Riven is going to be left open, you could first pick it yourself. The Vayne ban is definitely a little bit of a weird one. So that's getting banned instead of the Renekton. Now both Renekton and Riven are open.
Yeah, you saw the ThunderTalk guys cackling. They were very loose. And I think it's always cool whenever you're playing and you pull a ban. Maybe they're like, sure, they're afraid of your Vayne. Or maybe they're afraid of Z's Vayne. Not exactly sure. Rocky.
I just don't understand why they keep daring Z to play Riven. I mean, I think he's proved himself too many times to play, or I guess come in with a strategy that's a little bit on the arrogant side. I thought first game was a little bit of an experimentation. You get to try it out, and if it doesn't work, they go back to banning it, but they're letting it through again. And if Z picks it up again, yeah, here it comes through. I don't really understand why they keep letting him have it.
Smacks, Lee Sin, Riven for Renekton. This doesn't feel
You're
good.
giving a lot of early game agency over to ThunderTalk again. The Riven for Z just seems so devastating to have to deal with. We just saw what it was capable of in that first game. Izak back on the Diana as well. Not a matchup that seemed to favor him too much. And now we're seeing that Luna is on another flavor of utility, maybe less utility than the Jhin, but still it is Varus and not one of the classic carries that we see on him frequently like the Corki.
Yeah, Araki, how do you feel about this Diana back for Izak and Varus for Luna?
I was going to say that Diana's probably going to come through because at this point you're denying Feibai again, both Renekton and Diana. He can go back to the Darius, but Renekton is a much better matchup against it than the Gragas. You have a little bit of a strong side matchup up there. I actually like overall that KT do have lanes to play through this game instead of like last game where they have a losing bot, a losing top, and a losing mid, and it just gives all the urgency over to ThunderTalk. This game is slightly different already.
So Thresh and Lucian come through. So the bottom side of the map, aggressive. You do have Varus that can keep the distance and constantly shoot those piercing arrows away here, but one of those death sentences land, and that's exactly what might happen to you here, Smack.
You're going to need a lot of kite back potential from the support pick. I'm thinking something like a Gragas, I'm thinking something like a Nami to avoid getting completely obliterated by Z's Riven, and then also this Lee Sin. I love the Braum. I didn't mention it in those other two, but this is really smart. You have a lot of ways to shrug off engages and then bounce back with the Glacial Fissure. I think this is a really good pick.
Oh, so this is what I was going to ask you just a second ago here, Rocky. A world where Riven gets flexed away or Orianna not being played somewhere else, but is this Z on Orianna?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be Z on Orianna. I do think Riven is getting flexed to top side. It's not very good against Renekton. Renekton should have the early game prio. And I mean, overall, I think the composition coming out of KT, they have a lot of range with Varus and Graves, and I have a lot of peel, and also a little bit of a side lane domination with Diana later on, if Riven doesn't get ahead. And also the other thing that they have going on now, Britel actually is playing strong side. So if they try to set up dives on his lane and get him ahead, there is a win condition there.
Safe to say here that Britel, the key player here for Rolster, Smacks?
To me, it feels like you don't take Z off of Riven, though. It might be Riven top, but Z is just so good at this champion that I feel like he might just go back to his roots and play Baron lane in this game. Because, again, Feibai does have a lot of experience in mid. It doesn't look like it based on what we just saw in the last second there, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they ended up doing.
All right, well, the draft is locked on in Rolster. They got pushed pretty early on and set behind, so no matter what their plan was, it was always going to be difficult. They did a decent job fighting back. Luna stayed alive for the longest amount of time, but wasn't quite able to dish out as much damage. Trying to do so here on the Varus. Will it be able to do so? Let's find out by sending it back to Pastry and TJ for game number 2.
Thank you. As very much appreciate the additional break there as the analyst says break down the drop. But TJ, what are your thoughts at the back end of that one? Because it's kind of running it back.
Yeah, and it's running back the parts I don't like. So Rolster to be blunt, I think Rolster lost this draft. I will follow up with why. Rolster did make it, I think, intelligent.
That's good. Not every analyst does that.
I prefer not to explain myself, but I'm told it's my job. Rolster made, I think, an intelligent read, which was, hey, we waited too long last game, and their first 3 drafts shifted the kind of win condition towards the mid-game team fight, and kind of signal they're going to play more aggressive, which they're now doing on our screens, Julian.
They certainly are.
But they're doing it through Doe's Graves. And I watched that game, I don't believe in it.
Goodness, here we go. Flipping it at the chickens. All right, well, everyone's chill. It's chill. It's chill. Here's Feibai.
It is not chill. Here comes Feibai.
That's still Gale's here as well.
Right.
It's chill.
We are, in fact, chill now. the early invade is rebuffed, and it's interesting, Mitch. So Rolster reinvest in this Doe Graves pick that frankly looked uninspiring during game number 1. And what's more, they're now playing aggressive with it. I don't know how to feel about this. If they get him early gold, it makes a difference, but I don't see a world in which that happens. You're laning or you're jungling into a Lee Sin.
Yeah, I feel like definitely this is a lane to get traction in, right?
Absolutely.
Highlighted. In fact, Rattel might be going in for the solo. Ignites down. Doesn't grab it though. Fedbad with the barrier popped.
I do agree that that top lane is the lane to watch right now. Rattel, of course, one of the best top laners in this tournament, playing against Feibai, who is role swapped in the top and has looked a little weak on the high execution top laners throughout this tournament. Has definitely looked better on things like the Diana, the Gragas characters that they
the
would
mid
be
laners
familiar with from the mid lane. So I'm a little worried that that may go sideways for Feibai, and that would create the opportunities for Rolster to get ahead.
I did say I thought Feibai had kind of been playing into form as a top laner, and that might be true. Here's Chris down the bottom side. Very nice bit of landing, straight onto S2K. Oh, coming back in. It's the Juke. The lantern was a bait. The hook, though, not going to land.
Luna thinks it's safe. He walks forward. He's like, all right, we had shook on this. You're leaving now, right?
They never leave.
S2K comes out, and this is going to be an entire wave loss. That, I think, is actually 2 waves just burned away here. That's a massive gold advantage earned. And Doe's playing Graves. He can't do anything about this, Julian.
Oh, is that 2 plates? That's so gross. This is just so much gold. Into the bot lane here of ThunderTalk. It's only 1 play, but it might as well be 2.
You see that caster minion he snipes?
Got him.
That's the only thing they get back. Rolster don't get any pressure anywhere else on the map. Because Doe's playing Graves. You just can't be aggressive right now.
And look at, just look at the bot lane goal. It's almost 1,000 between the two, and no one has died yet. That is just that play there that Chris forced in the bottom lane.
Yeah, to quote many of the great gamers of our time, that is unfortunate. I don't know what you do about a game state like this if you were hoping to have value in your bottom lane. Luna is very good. He's kind of in Varus jail, which means he's going to be more of a utility pick. You're going to use him for his Chains of Corruption. You're going to use him for his arrows, which come online normally during the mid-game. With that kind of gold gap, he's going to be so far behind that that mid-game arrow spike just isn't going to happen. He's a CC bot. He's basically like Nami at this point.
And if that's the case, then we have to shift here to the top side here for Rolster. Rattel's doing well. Isaac's doing actually pretty well with the Renovators already done. So that part of the plan is at least looking good so far.
This game is now about Rattel and Doe. They need to win this game together, and they need to carry this game. Isaac played pretty well in the last game, but could not match Z in lane. It's going to be a little easier to do so now that Z is on a more passive character like the Orianna. That Orianna's not going to be truly scary until the late game team finds.
Also Infernal first again, which is
love to see it.
Quite an omen for this series. In fact, Chris is just getting it done. Punching away, shadowboxing, taking out the crab. Not going to go for the dragon, of course, because that would be silly.
Dragon's going for him.
Oh, it's very cranky. It's very cranky.
Manages to stop the recall, of course. Rolster still don't know what a dragon is, have never seen it. And so are going to start instead on this Rift Herald.
Get there in time. It looks like it, although I don't think they can stop this.
Here comes Chris.
They're fighting. Feibai's vibing. Chilling in the river. Everyone's here. Lantern's in. Oh, they try and go for the steal. Let's go. Oh my god. Zig's still the Herald. That's first play over to Rolster. But they're going to be calling worth on that play. Isaac is going to try and make his way back in. But Azua, it's insult to injury teacher. He just took the bottom tower.
Z's shockwave steals the Rift Herald. I do not understand, but I saw.
I thought S12K was just having a laugh throwing the lance in the pit, and then I started stitching together the steal that they were engineering, and then the last thing I expected was to see Orianna appear on the screen, stealing this objective in the Axe replay.
Doe and Rattel just sit by it. There's no way you go in without getting turbo stunned by Salem and Rattel with Doe nearby. And indeed, that's true. But Chris almost gets away with this, goes in, shockwave, and then Turbo Stun. That is bad.
Actually got 4 in that shotgun. 3 enemy champions and the Rift Herald secure.
That's value.
Very high value there for Z, who's looked very good on this Orianna. Again, was not a mid laner coming into this tournament. I cannot stress that enough, TJ.
There is history. Z did play mid lane ages and ages ago prior to his run on ThunderTalk. But yeah, judging by the characters he picked, he's not been playing it in solo queue. Orianna, very spicy though, the one kind of true mid lane mage that Z has pulled out this tournament.
All right, let's kind of recap this fight, because Feibai is vibing. Is everyone on this team cracked on Riven? Is that the story? What is going on?
Feibai shows up versus Rattel mid lane just to kind of bring you up to date.
What is
Z
going
did land
on?
a massive
He's
shockwave.
dead. Rattel's just dead. I think Chris is here. There's the kick.
Dominance.
Oh my god, he's flexing on him. I think he messed that up.
Yeah, that was the play. Mid lane, by the way, Z almost died and landed a 4-man shockwave that saved him. 3-man, I think.
All right, we're gonna have to chill out. Like I was trying to say before, kind of the sum of all this, as he still has the Rift Herald, by the way, hasn't used it yet, hasn't got the gold potentially from those towers or its plates. ThunderTalk are once again up to an early game lead here. They are up 2,500 gold, not 7 minutes through. So if Rolster were trying to play a bit more aggressive here or play into that mid game, they are gonna be behind.
Right. And yet again, I'll tell you what I did last game, which is, hey, Graves is pretty good late game. So maybe Rolster just stole out the game?
I think I've seen that one before. Chris in trouble. Good stun there.
Ooh.
Great collateral damage out of Doe. He's going to nab the kill.
Or maybe Rattel's Renekton gives them the mid-game power they need to succeed, because Rattel's Renekton is the X Factor. Rather than being in Gragas jail, he's managed to pick up one of his favorite characters, the Renekton that gives him the power to duel.
It's Gragas Hell versus Renekton Heaven.
Yeah.
And Rattel's feeling good right now as Isak's going to have to flash. Feibai's Ruben is running amok on the Rift. Rift Herald charging down. That gold lead still ticking up, and Feibai is popping off. Z with the shockwave nabs a couple, but sailing with the door up does protect them.
And that first turret break down bottom is really just haunting Rolster. They're going to lose this mid turret. Oh dear.
12k poking out onto Doe. Z is making it hurt here under the tower as Azura is trying to solo kill the crocodile. Almost gets it.
ThunderTalk have just learned the lesson from that Sengoku series. The quicker you play against Rolster, the better it is.
Nice little dash out. Who got the blue buff? That's all that really matters.
And every time
I don't know.
ThunderTalk have an advantage, have a chance to step forward and press it, they do. And the blue buff did go to Chris on Lee Sin. So
Value.
that's equity.
Definitely investment paying off there. Stonks going up here on the ThunderTalk side as they do continue to show that, hey, even though our earlier games might have been, you know, a little longer than we would have liked, a little more Z YOLO 1v3Z action, which was very exciting, but maybe not the way you want to get ahead in your games. Showing that they do have early game, they do have flexibility, they do have a real top laner that was once a mid laner, they do have a real mid laner that was once a top laner. They can exchange 3 people in the semi-final and maybe be up 2-0.
And ThunderTalk continuing to show their teamwork as well, as this cross-map macro play has been what's earning them the lead. Their ability to early burn down that turret bottom came from the play through Chris, Azure, S12K, the substitutes, the 3 players that were brought into this team for this tournament, having never played together before. And ThunderTalk having been forged a very scary team on the stage.
What if the real ThunderTalk was the friends we made along the way?
Actually, though, it is.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Here's my question. Do ThunderTalk, you know, just in the world where they win this game, and they look really good at this tournament, do they go home and change back to their original roster?
I don't know. Maybe find out later, but certainly it's so far so good. This is not even committing the second Herald here. They did get the second. Chris has got in his hot little purple hand. Isak is getting himself ganked.
Yeah.
We hit the stasis button. Not sure Z wanted to do that.
This is bait by Isak. He's trying to set up this play down bottom. Unfortunately, they just don't have the tools to get aggressive right now. Doe is kind of thinking about, ooh, okay.
Surprise. Chris is like, Lantern? Nope. Just dash away. Here's Feibai. Oh, goodness. Rattel dashing out of that one as Azul lets the culling rip.
Early culling, not finding maximum value, and with Feibai, or sorry, Z's stasis already down, this is actually a kind of difficult fight for ThunderTalk to take. They want to just keep poking and extending this fight. They desperately don't want a full fight. You can see Chris resetting here.
Needs his ult back. Goes very low though. That's a great chain of corruption. Z taking out there. It's Ezek that collects the kill, but the rest of ThunderTalk are fighting. It's a 4v5. Feiba's getting in there. He proto-belts in. He's assassinating the jungler. That's the dragon for them. Feibai, this time he's on the ribbon, saving the day. Oh my god, is he out? Are you kidding me? I assumed he was dead, Feibai. He's gonna make it alive. What on earth?
I don't believe it! Feibai escapes to safety and now returns.
Why are they still fighting and why is it working?
Needs to escort Chris out of this fight.
Salem tag, they're like in front of them. They're cutting them off from their own base. S2K just proto-belt slaps someone into the Shadow Realm. ThunderTalk are going off.
S12K in with the proto-belt, down with the chains, and Salem eats some dirt. ThunderTalk find 2 more kills.
Is proto-belt the best item in Wild Rift now? Is that our takeaway as we watch this madness again?
Luna starts this off so well, the Chains of Corruption tie down the key target and they find the pick. That should be the team fight. But as George works away beside the fight, forces Doe out of position, and Feibai punishes the longest chain of rhythm movement I've ever seen in Wild Rift. By the time they catch up to Feibai, his cooldowns are all back, baby, and he's ready to start running. Usain Bolt out of the middle of the fight, back behind the turret. Everything's good for ThunderTalk, and Rolster have lost a hard-fought dragon.
And like they're just up so much gold now. Like it's 12 minutes in, there's a couple items on some carries, but ThunderTalk just have so much more cash and obviously so much more confidence in these moments. They are taking every single fight as Z plants 3 with the shockwave.
Rattel zones forward and stops the punish. But Z is just the gremlin hiding in Rolster's dark corners of their dreams. Showing up, landing shockwaves, sneaking around the side, and this game is looking unwinnable yet again for the Korean side.
They're already dead, Z. Stop bullying them. He's like proxying between two. Look at him. Look at what he's doing. He's walking past this tier 2. He doesn't have ultimate. He's insane. As they're going back for it, but ThunderTalk are out of there. I have to calm down. This game is getting out of hand.
I see it, Pastry, but I can't do anything about it. I can't arrest him.
And neither can Rolster, and that's the problem. ThunderTalk, just too much panache. Chris, he's dancing with the Herald. He's like trying to get a kill, but Chris is gonna die. Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? Feibai running interference. Chris goes back in. The Moonfall's gonna get the kill, but Feibai is gonna trade one back.
That was started by Ezek just deciding that the Rift Herald needed to die. Chris randomly spawns it up in the top lane a couple of moments ago.
Don't do it, Salem. Whatever you're trying to do is not going to work.
Salem dares approach our Lord and Savior Z. Astria has some advice.
Let's do it. This is cold as Scuttle Crab. Oh, never mind, didn't get it.
Didn't even work.
A little win there for Rolster, who, like, again, like, we're laughing, we're having fun, because ThunderTalk very clearly are. I'm sure when we cut to them, assuming they win this game, they're going to have some very big grins on their faces. But to bring us back to reality for a second here, there's a reason. Rolster look so lost within this chaos.
Yeah, it's so hard for Rolster to deal with this kind of aggression because ThunderTalk are never pushing front to back. They're never grouping for 5 around objectives. ThunderTalk are constantly pushing in 2, 3 different sidelines simultaneously, and Rolster just aren't equipped to handle that. They're not a team that has ever had to deal with this level of split map aggression in the WCK. And now that they're facing it on the main stage, ThunderTalk are just crumbling.
I mean, just look at the carries here on ThunderTalk. Yes, there are items approaching. I think if the game extends, we can talk once again about the Rolster effect, where past 20 minutes, they do seem somewhat inevitable, but we are a far cry away from that at this stage. As ThunderTalk is dancing around this upcoming Drake. That shockwave finds Doe after the hook, but not quite enough. A little bit of poke.
Ezek's looking for a flank in these fights, hovering around the side. He is kind of their only hope. If he can get onto Z, and equally importantly, Azure at the very beginning of these fights, they can still win them.
May vibes, just roaming through the enemy jungle though. He was split pushing down the bottom side. Now he's playing goalie towards this dragon. No one's gonna get let in here as the whole of ThunderTalk are just making sure Chris can solve this. Ezek's found one little hole in the defense. but not going to get a great box out of S12K to disengage, and now Rocket Belt's back in, finds the hook, it's Carnage! There's the Shockwave, it's going to connect to Rattel! He just can't do anything but die as ThunderTalk find 2 kills.
In the blink of an eye, Luna gets assassinated, Rattel crumbles underneath the combined focus of ThunderTalk as they shift their focus so quickly away from that dragon into the team fight, and now they're looking to put the nail in the coffin. That's going to be this Baron, and that is going to put them on match point in this semi-final.
See if Do can make it in the area. Z again though, just interfering here. Gets the Shockwave down, great play there as the combo through from S12K. Do is dead. That stasis gonna save him, but it's only temporary. Only chasing safety on the Rolster side is S12K. Flash Flay finds 2. Izak with a massive moonfall is going to try and delay. He's cutting away very briefly, but the hook just don't miss out of S12K as ThunderTalk will march down for the win this second game.
Here they come, Baron in hand. A 2-player advantage for the next 30 seconds. And this should be 2-0 ThunderTalk as Rolster yet again crumple under the early game presence.
The mid game wasn't enough. A couple stumbled there for ThunderTalk, but this game it's been all ThunderTalk all the time. It doesn't matter the angle, it doesn't matter the champion, it doesn't matter the player. It is ThunderTalk every single engage as they ace Rolster to add insult to injury, salt in the wound, and a 2-0 as they are currently up against Rolster.
What a performance. ThunderTalk get absolutely slaughtered during their game versus Sengoku when the mid lane is pushed. What's their response? Hey, we can win through Faber. Hey, we can give him Riven, and he can do just as scary stuff. And what's more, Z is now able to shift onto this Orianna, put the weight of execution, the pressure of these games on his teammates during the early game. And that is an evolution for ThunderTalk that may well win them a championship.
It may, and again, Z's destiny is to become the best Wild Rift player in the world. But to do that, he must win this tournament. And he's one game away from at least getting a shot.
If Z manages to make finals, kicking and screaming, like just dragging his team as they have to swap out 3 different players, as they have to figure out what this team even looks like with 3 new players playing their first games together on stage at the Horizon Cup. And if he manages to carry his team all the way to finals with that, he is absolutely in the record books as one of the best players ever to play a mobile MOBA, certainly in the early history of Wild Rift.
And as quickly, I want to remind you, when Gabby talked to Z all the way in the early days of this tournament, he's like, what's going on? Who's doing the shot calling? He's like, I'm doing the shot calling. What do you mean? That's my job too. There's apparently nothing Z can't do if Z are going to hand it back over to the State Farm analyst. Guys, fellas, enjoy breaking that one down.
Thank you very much, Pastry. And, you know, I've been watching you cast for a very long time. I don't think I've ever seen you pop your top off like that in such a long time. That was crazy that ThunderTalk was able to do that against Rolster and make Pastry do that.
Yeah, he was talking like thunder. The whole studio was booming throughout that entire game. That was amazing.
Rocky, that was just dominant through and through. We thought it was as easy as get rid of the Renekton. They were able to do that by picking that one away. Instead, the Ribbon goes to the top side of the map against Fabai, and my God, have yourself a game.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Renekton actually did his job in the early game where he was setting up waves to potentially dive the Ribbon. He even burned her barrier really early on, but I think the level 1 invade going so wrong and backfiring completely threw off Rolster Y from their plan going into it. So yeah, just a bad try, I guess, in trying to invade and having it backfire, but Z and ThunderTalk are just popping up game after another, even with flexing the Ribbon to the top lane.
It feels like to me then, a lot of this focus, if you're gonna get back in, if you're Rolster, has to be in the first 3 minutes. It's really about this focus on, you gotta get that kill early here, Smacks, so you set them behind, because we've seen now 2 games in a row, you cannot match ThunderTalk once it's equal. and people have their first couple of items.
This is what I was worried about for Rolster. Why? With how they've played in the quarterfinals and in the group stage, they have been rather passive in the early stages of the game. And if you give ThunderTalk an inch, they will take a mile. They've just shown it to us 2 games in a row. They're sure as hell going to do it in the 3rd game if you let them. So it really is up to Rolster Y to have a huge dynamic shift, which is asking a lot of them in this match point, but it's something that is going to be necessary.
I think a big one that I want to bring back up is what TJ said about Rolster Y. They seem to be panicking and going back to old bad habits of just grouping up and not really playing the map. They're not too used to facing this type of aggression in the WCK, and now on the world stage, it's a whole other beast that they're facing, and it's shocking them to their core. They don't know how to react.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team, and Luna is a player where you've seen the joy in wins and losses, and he looks shell-shocked. That team looks shell-shocked. We thought Team Secret looked shell-shocked after that first game. They came back out, their body language, that looked like shell-shocked. You saw ThunderTalk slap hands in. Great shot, camera team. And then, yeah, we're in. Everything's great. Where's my coffee? Here, it looks very different here, Smacks.
Yeah, you got to feel for Rolster Y. They're trying the thing that has led them all the way up until this point, and it just is not working. You can't help but be excited about ThunderTalk, though. I am really, really hyped for this team, and we talked a lot about Z. The cast talked a lot about Z and how he is making a case for being one of the best players in the world. He's doing it all. He's even, showing that sharing is caring. He's given Feibai a turn on the Riven as well, which is, I think, very valuable. But to me, the thing that's the most scary at this point for ThunderTalk is how quietly fed Azure was in that game. He didn't actually get to do a whole lot, but he was really, really strong by the end, and I feel like that is something that we might not even get a hint of unless Rolster Y can really put the other laners behind.
Well, speaking of Z, it's time for our Cisco Every Second Counts. And, there was the big play at the Rift Herald. Of course it was Z making it. The Shockwave to steal the Rift Herald here, Araki.
Yeah, I love the setup here as well, which was clearly just to try and steal the Rift Herald. The Lantern is thrown out so that Lee Sin can go for the Intempt and back out, but it wasn't even necessary because Z came in clutch with the Orianna Shockwave, securing the Rift Herald. And a big part for why Smax is talking about Delusion being quietly fed is the fact that he is on the other side getting a tower for himself. So that definitely set him up with the gold and set him up to carry the fights later on.
Man, I love that. Chris goes in as well, and Z's like, no, I do this too. I got it. You, oh, you're dead? That's okay. Don't worry about it. We can, give them a little bit of gold. All right. This has just been a dominant performance by ThunderTalk, but we have one last little bit of advice to ThunderTalk. If you do get to the finals, let Z shine during the celebration. You don't step in front of the superstars. Look at this. There's like, yeah, that's all right. Who's that guy? Right, Smacks?
I mean, like I said, he's quietly carrying in the games. He's gotta be a little bit more loud in the post-game selfies. So I gotta give him a little bit of credit for that. But yeah, Z is carrying a lot of the way for this team for sure.
All right, 2 games down, possibly 1 to go here if you're a ThunderTalk fan. We're gonna be stepping away, but when we come back, game number 3, catch you in a bit.
What's going on?
Jake from State Farm, the perp just confessed. I think. I don't know.
What?
Oh, can't afford streaming anymore, so here we are.
Oh, don't give up what you love. State Farm has options to personalize your policy so you get a rate that fits your budget.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
The subtitles would be nice.
For surprisingly great rates that fit any budget, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
Welcome back, everyone, in what could be our final game of the series if history is going to keep repeating itself, TJ, because ThunderTalk are on a roll in these games.
If ThunderTalk's 3-0 sweep all the way through semis, they will have, I think, confirmed that this team is just getting scarier and scarier and scarier the longer they play League of Legends on the Horizon Cup stage.
Just a scrim. Every game's a scrim, and they just keep on winning. Their record must be immaculate at this point in the tournament here, Horizon Cup. 2-0 right now on the blue side to kick things off. 6 bans almost done, and Riven finally has hit the ban table.
Finally! It took them 3 entire games, but third time's the charm, and we do get this Riven banned out instead of Malphite. And I do not know why Malphite was on the ban list for so long. It looked very good in the game versus Ebro, but if Rolster are genuinely scared of Z's Malphite, then either I'm completely underestimating it, or they've got some, like, scrim-related paranoia.
I hope Malphite comes in this game somehow.
God.
I don't think it's going to. That's Aurelia. I don't think we've seen her
Okay,
yet.
so Rolster are just doubling down. This is such a late game draft already. Aurelia is unkillable if she can get to the late game. She's a monster. I expect that to go probably mid over in Ezek's hands. And then, of course, you have the Senna, which is you are very experienced on. Will be a late game champion. So Rolster have looked at games 1 and 2 and said, the problem? We didn't have enough scaling damage.
I'm expecting Nasus at any moment here as Diana is going to be the pick on through for ThunderTalk. Chris?
More likely we get a Gragas, something like that here for Salem. I expect Gragas or maybe Galio alongside this Senna.
See what they want to pick here as well. I'm going to take Azua's Varus once again.
And kind of the danger here for Rolster is that they have signaled exactly where they're going so early on in this draft that ThunderTalk just say, okay, well, we'll run back the Lee Sin for sure. And so much of that last game was determined by Chris managing to get out on the map early and determine the direction of the game. That early invade down bottom where he managed to force Luna and Salem off of the turret for actual minutes pretty much ended the game. So if Doe isn't able to contain Chris this time round, then I do expect it to be a fairly similar result. That's why this Nunu pick is actually very important.
All right, well, also Orianna there, so it does look like Ratel's going to be the one on the carry, I suppose, with Aurelia going up towards that top half of the map. Darius once again there for Feibai, so it's going to be Z's Diana this time around. At least Isaac should be pretty familiar with the matchup. They're actually going to play the inverse side now, which is always fun to see.
Between Senna, Aurelia, Orianna, there is absolutely no subtlety here in this draft. This draft does one thing, that is teamfight during the late game, that is do crazy amounts of damage during the late game, and most critically Pastry, that is do nothing during the early game.
Yep, and that has, as we mentioned, been Rolster's calling card. It's just not been good enough in the 2 games so far. So they definitely have the talent, they have the ability to bring it back. They are playing to their biggest strength in order to get there, and we'll see if it works out for them.
Wow, okay, so this Senna is going to be full-on AD carry, no soul sharing, anything like that. It's going to be Rakan alongside the Senna down bottom. ThunderTalk, as stated earlier, are playing for the mid-game. They've grabbed themselves the ability to kind of open up these fights in the middle of them. Those bubbles are going to be really good at separating the tank frontline of the Nunu, of the Rakan from the backline carries. The Rakan hypermobile needs to get underneath Darius, stop him from engaging because the CC chain here is devastating. You've got the Nami bubbles following up on Chain of Corruption, vice versa. You've got the Moonfall setting up for any of that. You've got the Abduct coming out for the Darius. All of this is terrifying engage, and that's going to be at its deadliest around the 10-minute mark. About halfway through the game when ThunderTalk want to hit the gas pedal and just shut this scaling Senna, Aurelia, Orianna out of the game.
I actually really like the Nami again. It's kind of similar to the Darius Ribbon they ran in the other game, where I felt like Nami was able to open up, the front to back that Rolster always want to run. So it seems a little weird because it doesn't immediately pair with Varus necessarily, and it doesn't feel like it fits into this comp that wants to dive at you, but picking it apart a little bit more, I was like, oh yeah, Nami actually does a very good job of enabling these melee champions.
Yeah, and you see a lot of Nami used to be very popular in the compositions alongside Twisted Fate, but Varus Nami, for instance, is incredibly popular, and if you have the Varus Nami, then you really want the Darius, because the Darius is the character that can follow up best on single targets that are stunned or bubbled or what have you.
We'll see what happens here. As once again, ThunderTalk.
Match point!
We're looking for a sweep. They got 3 chances to get themselves to the final. They look like they're only going to need this one game though, TJ. We'll see if Rolster can kind of find the form that gave them success so far in the tournament. They've been up against the brick wall so far against ThunderTalk, but if there was ever a game to rally here, it certainly is this one. This is the Rolster. You either love it or you hate it, but this is who they are, TJ.
The pride and joy of the WCK, the best team in Korea. Korea, a region with forever high expectations in League of Legends esports. And now it comes down to this. They are one game away from elimination as ThunderTalk, a team that did not even know their roster coming into this tournament, have managed to slap them around in games 1 and 2.
All right, well, I don't know how long this will last, but there's 2 solo laners in the mid lane right now. That's 1 too many by my count, TJ, but just trying to give Z a little bit of pressure here as Ratel's gonna now leave and go towards the top lane. Feibai is waiting in the shrubbery for him.
And I would like to clarify something I got wrong in draft. I said, you know, I do expect this Aurelia to go mid. That's insane. They have Ratel on their team.
Yep.
They're going to give the hard scaling, hard carry champion over to Ratel. And yeah, Ezek's going to play a little more passively. That's why they XP share gold share during the opening moments of the game. Because Ezek isn't expected to be the carry. He's going to show up in late game to provide some support, provide some damage. But the main goal here is to enable Ratel. It's Ratel's Aurelia that will dominate this game if Rolster's game plan goes to that plan.
Right, so I do like that. You already saw Ratel hit level 2, get some trades early on, so definitely set up here to have a good matchup. We'll see if Doe, in particular, can find his way up there on the Nunu. That was a big feature of the last Nunu game we saw in this series, where ThunderTalk was just having Chris constantly hammer in the mid lane. And I have to say, you mentioned it kind of off air, I think it is worth repeating. Chris quietly having an incredible series here.
Yeah, Chris has been able to completely shut down Doe in the 1v1s in the jungle, and a lot of that has been Doe on the Graves, I think, looking profoundly uncomfortable. He's not looked like he knows how to play that hard carry style of character. We've seen it a couple times. It's kind of the darker gaming effect, where teams are like, hey, what if we just gave our jungler a ton of gold? And the answer is, unless your jungler is built for that, unless that is the playstyle, what on earth is this?
Oh, is getting in there. Feibai, yeah, did not want to get snared up there by the Nunu, so does flash away.
And unless your jungler is built for that, you're going to have trouble. What Rolster are used to doing with Doe is getting them into the side lane early, boosting Ratel ahead. And we see a return to that form. Ratel did not manage to grab any of the damage. Oh my.
Feibai in trouble. There's the first kill. That's great for Ratel. And we did see the dive attempt, but Chris didn't nab Isaac.
And where I was going with that is Ratel actually stole away some jungle camps with Doe as well, so this is a pretty massive gold swing over for Rolster as they managed to kill an entire top wave against the turret, find a solo kill on the top laner, and steal away jungle camps. This is easily the best start to a game that Rolster have had this series.
Right, and you know, if we talk about Z, especially when he gets ahead early, being so good, now it's Ratel's time to show with a similar league work and he gets done. Oh, that's just wonderful. Level 3 to level 5, Ratel just absolutely demolishes him there with the flash ulti.
And that's the game plan for Rolster. They have tired of trying to face Z in mid, and they are focusing their attention elsewhere. This game is Ratel's now to win or lose. Luna on that center is going to be weak side. You're not going to see too much attention down bottom. You're not going to see too much attention on an Orianna mid. He's exposed to take care of himself. This game is all about Aurelia. It's all about Ratel.
All right, we'll see how Ratel does as the game goes on, because the proactivity is still here for ThunderTalk. Remember, yes, there is scaling in the roster comp. Yes, Ratel is going to be accelerated, which is perfect for this kind of comp.
Chris looking for a steal.
Very, very pretty
there. He gets it.
Very nice. Very smooth, that'll lead.
Managing to steal away Doe's jungle, even as he's trying, I think, to hand it over to Ratel. And Chris kind of undoes what was just done to him in the top side, vertical jungling, whilst Rolster in that part of the jungle, Pastry.
Yeah, it's definitely not a steal you expect, but that's one they'll take as the objectives have spawned. As you mentioned, Rolster have never seen the dragon in their life.
Oh, they might be about to see one for the very first time. Unsure what to do, Rolster do send their jungler Doe up to start that Rift Herald, and so no, they will not see a dragon today for the first time.
Don't be fooled. They have a ward outside the pin. It's an illusion as Chris is going to go ahead and take down this dragon. A little bit of help out of Z. Doesn't really need it, but he'll take it. And for the first time, we're actually going to split these objectives at 4 minutes.
I cannot describe to you how angry I would have been if the very first Drake that Rolster fought over in their competitive career was
a Cloud Drake. If you didn't fight for the 2 Infernals, what are you doing? As Chris is down here helping C out with his tower.
Shockwave setup.
Very nice out of Salem, finds 2 after the quickness. Knock up there, but Z's gonna try and turn around. Now it's escape time out of the pair. As Izak flashes in, looks for the Shockwave. Z gets tagged on the very end. The flash is not enough. As Izak gets the kill.
A kill to Rolster in the bottom lane, their second of the game, and they're entering the 5-minute mark with a gold lead against ThunderTalk and a late game scaling composition.
Right, we already talked about, this is, a Rolster comp through and through. They are going to have to go late. This is a dream for them. Not only do they have the late game comp and they're not behind, but they're ahead.
And Chris starts this with Z, trying to do the same thing they did during game number 2. Absolutely shutting down the bottom lane by burning down the turret early.
And that's a beautiful engage out of Salem, and just an easy chase. Z tried everything to get out of this, and that was just nothing as Izak had every angle covered.
Boom. Very easy stuff for an Orianna as she scales up, and Isaac will only continue to do so. You see that Archangel staff completed down bottom. Once you hit second item, Orianna damage truly becomes terrifying. And
we saw out of Z last game, that was definitely a hard carry Orianna performance. We've seen his I'm figuring it out. I don't play mages as much anymore in the early games of the tournament, and now he's definitely evolved into full and hard carry. As Rattel is also in the same boat. 2v2, yeah, it's not really a 2v2 though.
No, because both teams are thinking about sending their entire team to the top side.
I was going to say, because one team has a Nunu and Favor can't do anything, but that works too.
Azura was thinking about roaming up, but Luna and Salem hitting the NOS, as you like to say, accelerating up there on the center. Really slow things down. I'm going to let you have your center minute here. The Muramana has been built for Luna. So once that edges towards completion, quickly around the second lethality item for a center build like this, you can start seeing real damage coming out of Luna, which is critical in these team fights. Center very good if she can sit uncontested back.
Chris trying to make it happen. He does find the angle, very nice. As Azura does indeed find the ulti, as you mentioned, it's the trade back and forth. But there's one kill, can they make it 2? That's the triple as Doe is going to get the snowball rolling. Rattel's going to have to save this. Ulti at the ready, flashes in. Fabai is going to sacrifice himself, perhaps indeed he must, as Rattel gets the kill.
2 for 3, a net loss for Rolster, but they get gold onto Rattel, and you must ask yourself, is that maybe worth it?
Feels like it is. Gold going in the right places, but it's the same story for ThunderTalk. They've actually got the gold lead now, because Z got all that money in the bottom lane.
They've got the gold lead with that turret takedown bottom, but this is the point at which they need to be relaxing into it. So the gold lead needs to go back to base, get bought up, and come back out to fight.
All right, well, just one again here in the Axe replay. ThunderTalk, again, doesn't matter the situation, they are sending it.
Chain of Corruption lands, and that's a very easy kill to find. ThunderTalk pressing forward using the sword. What's remarkable here is that Luna manages to find the kill in the midst of all that. They shut down Chris, actually. Wow, Salem getting the credit for it. And that means that this entire trade goes all right for them, because every moment that Chris is dead, that leaps in, pulls further and further up. So Rolster get 2 benefits out of that. Not only does Rattel get bigger, but Chris gets noticed.
Oh, that was so nice out of Doe. Gets the interrupt there.
Wow, everything misses for ThunderTalk.
That's not what they want to see. Doe, again, playing goalie very nicely. The rest of the team here, Rattel looking to move in. The quickness pop, send ulti over the top of Rattel. Starting to pop up in the team fight. That's 2 already.
Rolster, a clean team fight, made everything out of ThunderTalk, and they walk forward. A clean team fight gets them a gold lead back in their control at the 8-minute mark of this game.
And they found the dragon. Up in gold, they're gonna grab the Drake finally. Get some objectives on their hands. Haven't got it all series long as Salem's getting soloed by Z. Nami's here as well. Salem's left for dead. Here comes Izak though. Shockwave not up just yet. The Rift Tower also being taken. It's a bit awkward as Rattel is the one they do not want to feed more gold over to. ThunderTalk are trying to finish it, and that might be a bit too greedy.
He's gone!
Indeed it is for the least sim, but ThunderTalk get away. At least they get the Herald.
Chris just got deleted in an instant. Rattel's coming online.
And this is what we wanted to see. We wanted a series. Rattel is the one to lead the charge here for Rolster. Sub 10 minutes, but they are ramping up very rapidly here in this game.
And as Rattel starts to do damage, you have to shake in your very comfortable chairs if you're ThunderTalk on the opposite side of this stage. Because everything that Aurelia does in the late game is almost uncounterable by what ThunderTalk have to bear. They have such a squishy backline, it's really all going to be on Feibai to try and hold the line. Because if Rattel gains access to Azor, gains access to S12K, they are going to snap like twigs.
Right, here comes Z, trying to make this solo first again. Oh, Salem, as Z goes over the top. Chris is here as well. Salem with the proto-bout kick. Q, Salem with the quickness, the rest of the team is here. Center ulti to protect, 2v3 now. Z's gonna dive back in, finds a decent moonfall. Stasis is down, back goes Chris. They're dancing in, there's just so much mobility. Salem just zoned up, they're gonna take him out as the tidal wave is good, and now the rest of ThunderTalk have arrived, but here's Fertel. Great bubble there out of S12K, but they can't kill this Aurelia, and that is a critical error out of the rest of ThunderTalk as Luna finds a lock up. Rattel is trying to go up, but that's not it. It's S12K that gets that kill.
And with the shutdown, instantly, ThunderTalk slapped down the Rift Herald, and they're going to try and bully Luna out from behind this turret and grow the gold lead. They fight around their power spike, they fight around the Muramana completion for Azor, and they step forward into a 3v5 where they know they can force an advantage. Rolster get over-aggressive. Their damage is not in those three players. They didn't have it with Isaac, and Rattel, when he tries to contest, is already down 2 players and can't properly fight.
And look at the goal. I wouldn't have it any other way, TJ. It is 10k apiece. Z versus Rattel. On the one side, it is the man on the doorstep of destiny looking to drag ThunderTalk into the finals. And on the other side, Rolster treading water, trying to stay alive with Rattel.
And it really does all depend on those 2 players in this game. It is going to be decided by the star performances of Z and Rattel as Rolster step forward, even on gold, only 2,000 behind in a mid-game that ThunderTalk are oh so scary enduring.
Yep, they've got the gold lead, but it's not a big one, and we know that KT can hold.
Look at the top side as that wave gets shoved in. This is going to be a turret cracked by Feibai. He gets most of the damage on it. The minions might take it.
Rattel has to know something's up. Here's Chris. Stun's gonna miss, and that's just too easy. There's the kick. There's the cue of Rattel. He's found his way out of there, and now Rolster is gonna move in. The tidal wave there is not gonna save Z. Z's left for dead. Rattel is low, but Z just can't find the angle. Rattel, with the respect, is gonna stay away, and now he goes back in for the kill. The stasis is there. The stun misses, but it doesn't matter as Izak finishes off Z.
They give so much respect over to Z, taking their time, escorting that snowball in under the cover of Senna's Shroud so that they can properly chain him down. They do not dare step forward into Z. And with Rolster giving that respect over, they are finally able to take down the star player, the carry over on ThunderTalk, and bring this game back in their control, with Rattel continuing to snowball his lead.
And again, ThunderTalk still have the goal lead, but it's not a massive one. It just feels like KT are comfy here. You have to get very far ahead of this comp to really hammer it home.
You do have Isaac completing his stat right now. Ludenzeko's second item on the board. He's going to be doing some serious damage now as this backline Oriana lives through these team fights. And for the first time, Rolster are looking for fights. They're stepping up.
This Drake is very, very important. In fact, this Drake might just be the series, depending on who nabs it.
It may decide Rolster's tournament lives here in the Horizon Cup. Rolster, I think, their entire time here at Horizon, their entire time here in Singapore, comes down to a single team fight around this Infernal Drake.
It's going to be a fight for it. Rattel's going to get the crab. Rolster know they have to tread carefully here, but they are going to have to do this. And ThunderTalk are going to challenge them.
Talendo baiting, trying to force Z to step forward. They spot him on a ward and break off, instantly chasing him, separating him from the team. Can he get away?
Once again, oh, he's found a way out. Z's just running away. Now Salem's trying to chase him, but there's a 4v4 maybe on the other side of it.
Chris started the Drake. He's burning it down. He has to break away. He has to leave it.
Drake will reset, and Rattel's back on it.
He's back as well. I fear for Salem's life right now, but Izak's going to move back in and try and protect him. The Drake is getting zoned away here. ThunderTalk just want a way in.
Rolster's entire tournament resting on this boxing match around the Infernal Drake. As Z constantly tries to find a flank, and every time they seem to chase him away, the rest of ThunderTalk move into the gap created by it. Now they step forward again to take control of the river. Oh, and they lapped it!
Chain Corruption, Z has found the carry! Luna's gonna get assassinated! It's Nami that actually collects it! And there's the disengagement. Now Fei-Bai pulls Do back in, who's forced to push away. Great shockwave out of Izak, but it's only in defense.
And that means Rolster have to back away. They cannot fight into this Infernal Drake any longer. With Luna down, they're missing so much of their damage. And ThunderTalk have managed to earn themselves a massive damage advantage for the rest of this game.
And if you want to look at how good a player Z is, don't look at his mechanics, they're amazing. Don't look at his champion pool, it's quite impressive. Don't look at the role swap. Just look at what he did to Rolster. He ran them around the rift to get his team that Drake.
Single-handedly preventing Rolster from stepping forward against that Drake. Every time they felt comfortable, he would poke his head out of the bush. Not so much from his engage, but the threat of his engage. They couldn't start the Drake until finally they say, okay, well, we have to start forcing things, and that's when he strikes. The second they decide he's not worth chasing, he's back into Luna, shutting down the key carry for Rolster that they are so determined to protect.
Respect is earned. Boy, has he earned it in this series from Rolster, who are starting to group up. Rattel again, still definitely the ace here for KT. Gonna start to really power up in the late game. The Wit's End is almost done. It's getting spooky out here. I know Halloween's been kind of long over at this point, TJ, but this is tense for Rolster. This is it. They have to win every game from this point, including this one.
They have to win every team fight, and they found one.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Shockwave.
Z's just diving the enemy team. He is going to go into stasis. I don't think the team could save him. Salem with a beautiful engage on the other side, but Z's actually got himself out. Azua's got the kill. Do with the absolute zero is going to get absolutely nothing done on the damage front. But now Azua's running away. Rattel is way too late.
All of ThunderTalk very low, trying to escape now. Can Azua build the distance?
Yes, apparently, even though Do finds the snowball.
And that means Rattel burns TP to get into the fight. Rolster lose two of their players, and ThunderTalk get a kill underneath the turret onto Z. Here's Rattel looking for the 1v1 we've hyped up so much.
Z's just chilling, not wanting to face check. Z's Rattel, can't see the rest of Rolster. Fancies a go, throws that at Q, but goes straight back to recalling.
Both of these players understand that they are their entire team's game plan and do not take the risk.
All right, well, the Baron is alive. The Elder isn't up for a while, but it's going to be on the table here. ThunderTalk with 2-1 as far as that objective goes. And the items just keep on coming through. I mean, every time I look down, the gold stacks for Rattel and Z just grow bigger at equal paces here in this game.
That is a little worrying for ThunderTalk, because you are, again, talking about a Rolster composition that scales very well into the late game. Aurelia in particular is very scary.
Good flash out of Fei-Bai. Rattel, though, didn't have to commit the ulti. It's F12K caught out of position, taken out by Luna. That opens up the 4v5.
Yeah, Nami, a huge presence in the team fight. That opens up Rolster forcing something here. They're going to try and poke away at this Baron, see if they can get ThunderTalk to make a mistake.
Nothing to trade for ThunderTalk, so they have to trade carefully. Rattel going to show on the top wave here. Salem, I would be very worried, does get out of there. Chris going to bait out a W at least.
Z. Watch this flank from Z. He's buried himself inside the Rolster jungle. They're cutting off the Rolster retreat, trying to gain access again to Luna, again to Isaac. Z trying to weave his way through the entire team.
Defensive chain of corruption. Luna's going to go in for it, looks for the rune on Azua, doesn't quite get it. But the assassination on the other side for Chris and Z is finally going to join the fight. It's a 3v5. Z's diving in. It's 1v4. Into stasis he goes. Z, can he find a miracle here as Chris is going to go back in? Z's taking out Luna. Rattel is busy fighting Fei-Bai. But Z goes down. That went wrong for ThunderTalk.
And Rolster have won a massive team fight in the mid-game. 18 minutes towards the late game now. As yet again, inevitably, KT Rolster arrive at their late game team fights and start delivering.
Rattel gets the stun, but he doesn't go in. There's 17 seconds until the Elder is up.
Elder in 14 seconds. Baron up on the map. Do Rolster manage to lock anything down? They're going to have a player advantage for this Elder Dragon in Game 3 with their backs up against the wall. One game away from elimination.
Chris is here. Can he find the steal? Everyone's dead. They're going to have to go now. Chris is getting spotted. Great ball placement there out of Izak. But they're just going for the steal. They get the tidal wave. They're trying to buy time. Azure can't make it. This is Chris against the world. Get the tough shockwave there. Salem with the engage. Stasis gone. That should be the dragon. But maybe they can find a way back in. Chris, he's going for the steal. He does not get it. Oh my, no, he did it. Okay, Rolster got it. We're all good.
Rolster secure the Elder, and just like that, they may have secured themselves another chance in this semi-final as they win game number 3 by tiny little scraps and skirmishes. Teamfight after teamfight bends slowly their way, and now exactly 20 minutes into this game 3, their composition has arrived.
We talked about it, TJ. We've talked about the inevitability of KT once they get to the late game, and not a single game this series has gone to 20 minutes. That has all changed, and now we are very much in KT's territory.
We're in the Rolster zone now, baby. And ThunderTalk need to find a way out.
Well, Z's a pretty good magician.
Here's GA.
We'll see if Rattel can get his way out of this one. Oh my god, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Faye. He can't do anything. Rattel didn't even lose the first life. As now Doe has found Azure, Luna's locked him up forever. And that status is, you know, just a bit of showmanship. Because that GA is gonna die. And then Azure's gonna die for real. Oh, he flashed out. He's trying to make it fancy. But he's gonna get shut down by Isaac.
And Rolster now march forward with 40 seconds on some of these respawns. Plenty of time in the bank to try and secure themselves game 3. A step away from elimination.
And Chris finds the kick on Rattel. Not far enough to the fountain. Rattel just does not care.
They've done it.
That's it. Rolster are going to give us at least one more game here. ThunderTalk, it's not going to be so easy here as Chris is trying to just make it all happen, but that's just nothing. And Rolster do the one thing they're not always that good at doing, TJ. They rush the Nexus to keep their tournament hopes alive.
No smiles on the Rolster side. This is business as usual, slightly delayed.
Well, it's nice to see KT have arrived into the semi-final. It looked like it was going to be all ThunderTalk all the time, but that was kind of... We talked about it, like the two good things out of KT. They picked the late game comp, and then they did the thing they weren't supposed to do with the late game comp, is fight you early.
They picked the late game composition and they found the necessary fights. And it wasn't always even winning fights, but it was always skirmishes. And this is the Korean style, finding those 3v3s, 2v2s that extend the game. Because if you're ThunderTalk and you spend the entire early game chasing around the presence of Doe on the map, dealing with the constant threat of Rattel skirmishing and sniping around the side, you are not spending the early game snowballing the lead on Z. And that is the dream for KT. They want to slow down the game, get you to 20 minutes, take a team fight, end the game, keep this series alive.
And to Z's credit, he found a ton of gold in a game where they were behind, managed to keep pace with Rattel the entire time, but like you said, he didn't find any openings, right? This isn't his Zed diving into the backline, even though he did do a lot of dives. Like, I don't want to blame the champion, I just think KT knew once they got to that position, all they have to do is find Z and not let anything bad happen, and they did that for like 10 minutes straight to keep themselves in the game.
Yeah, and every time we see something like that, every time we see KT be able to just play their normal style, Rolster be able to just slow down the game, build their gold onto their carries, make sure that they get a late game team fight, I gain a little bit more hope that we're going to go all the way here. I have to tell you, Pastry.
Yep.
To pull the words out of your mouth, I think we've got a series on our hands.
I do indeed believe we have a series on our hands as KT and Rolster have kept themselves alive in the series. So for more on the Game 3 victory, let's check back in with La Tigress in Singapore.
Yes, I believe we do have a series on our hands. Welcome back to Singapore, everybody. What a different tone we had in that last game. My goodness. But if we're looking at Rolster Y and the way they were able to pull off this victory, it felt like a lot of the things they wanted to do in game number 1, but it was executed and went well for them this time.
Exactly the point there, and it started from draft for the side of Rolster Y. What are you gonna do when they ban away Camille, when they ban away Fiora? We have one more trick up our sleeve, and that's gonna be Irelia for Rattel. Just looking looking at the clips on the screen, they're just running with the game.
Well, I have to say, when Pastry Time said all you have to do is take down Z, and then they did that for 10 minutes, good credit to RY for getting that done. But all you have to do, this guy is still a monster. Even in the game that they lost, he still looks so good.
Yeah, it wasn't until they started being able to pick him off, chasing him all the way through the lane, that they could really get the ball going.
Yeah, exactly, and this time around, Z wasn't able to turn that around in 1 versus 3. I do want to bring up one really quick play that he made that just astounded me insanely much. Like, he dodged the Rakan W when the Rakan was coming from the center shroud. So you didn't know that was coming, and he still managed to jump the wall and dodge that spell out completely. This man just has the instincts of a god.
It's so interesting that even with Z swapping back to the mid lane, it still felt like a matchup between him and the top laner, Baron laner on the other side, because Rattel being focused so much in the draft by ThunderTalk, but now having this pick available to him really showing out.
Absolutely. I mean, this was the look that we were expecting from Rolster coming into this matchup. The fact is, a lot of the conversation was going, what's Fei-Wai going to happen? We're going to do when Rattel's going to come in here and crush the Baron lane. But when Rattel went on the Gragas in that first game, went on a supportive second game, it just didn't seem like we had the tools and the options for Rolster to win.
Yeah, and Do coming out on this coming back to this pick, that facilitative style. There were so many moments that were set up with that snowball and the rest of the team being able to follow up.
Yeah, I think the Graves as a pick just works so well against some of the teams which I would honestly say are lesser than ThunderTalk. But when you play a team as good as ThunderTalk, with lanes as decisive and strong as ThunderTalk, you need something that can contest that early game aggression. And then Nunu definitely looked like a much better option here.
It really does feel like the solo laners are the ultimate story of this entire series.
The solo laners really are. I have to think that the bot lane is really just there to facilitate the Baron lanes, the mid lanes to really make things happen. And we're looking to see what else they have in store for us, because this is maybe the start of something coming back, but honestly, I think TT has so much they haven't shown us yet.
Thinking about the fact that ThunderTalk were so dominating in their first 2 games, complete objective control, we finally did see a bit more skirmishes around that Drake going the way of Rolster and starting to warm up into the series.
Yeah, exactly, and this is something that we need to consider as well. When you look at Rolster, they don't look like their usual self. They seem a bit shakier. They seem to be making some amateur mistakes, maybe some nerves coming through here, but with this win under their belt, maybe they can pull something off.
And honestly, they were up till midnight last night, and they had a 2-hour-long talk talking about this match because they felt it coming in. But I think that win really gave them the confidence to push things further.
And that's where you have to consider the fact that it's a best-of-5 series compared to the best-of-3s before, so you have a bit more of that opportunity to warm up into it, get your nerves nice and collected. But on the other side of that, though, they had to fight so hard to get this victory in game number 3. How do you keep that up for 2 additional games if you hope to walk away with the semifinal?
They need to pull off a reverse sweep here, and that's not going to be an easy task at all for Rolster Y. And like you guys mentioned as well, I think there's still so many tools in the TT pocket that they haven't pulled out yet. I'm curious to see what they're going to do right now, and I feel like an Irelia ban might be the first thing on their agenda.
Yeah, I do wonder, Granny, your thoughts on that too. Do ThunderTalk just continue to try and focus down Rattel? They say, no, we don't want to worry about the Aurelia anymore. Do you have faith that Rolster will have another option at their disposal?
I think that might actually be a critical part about it, because we haven't seen Rolster put much emphasis on that Riven. Riven has been open as an option for Rolster, but instead they've kind of let that be and kind of prioritized that really, which is an interesting look for this team. So if they do madden out and Rolster are unable to play Riven, then I think we might have a problem for RY.
And that dueling pressure is something that you have to consider just across the meta as it's developed within this tournament. Do you feel that Rolster have that opportunity to bring that power to other lanes as well? Mid lane, for instance, also being somewhere that we've seen the Riven pick thrive?
Look, it's not an issue of being able to play it or not. It's an issue of being able to play it into Z, and that's the real question here. If you want to pick something as feast or famine as that Riven, I don't think you want to be playing it into Z.
And a lot of the moments in this particular game, it came from kind of taking out one of the squishies, right? Yeah. You catch out a support, you catch out somebody that can be bursted easily. Is there anything you would like to see from the early game from Rolster to have some proactivity for themselves, to control the pacing on their own terms?
Yes, I mean, but that's kind of asking for a lot. That's like asking for Santa Claus to exist, the Easter Bunny to be real, and Season 2 of Arcade to come out next week, right? That's not really going to happen. Rolster are not a team that plays for the early game. They're still going to look for that mid-game control and then late-game fight that will win them the game ultimately. So I think for them, just stick to what's been in their preparation and what's been in their wheelhouse.
All right, I'm going to continue to make half the audience happy with hearing this phrase, half of them banging their heads against the wall. We have ourselves a series, my friends. And to continue on with the series, let's head back on over to Digon and friends.
Thank you very much, Gabby. I'm here with the friends, Smacks and Rocky Zoro. Rocky Zoro, got ourselves a series. This is what you've been waiting for.
No, absolutely. I mean, I really, really enjoyed watching the Irelia. As a massive fan of the champion myself, the clinic that Rattel did put in that game was so amazing to watch. And I was really surprised to watch ThunderTalk pick the Darius into it. It's very disrespectful because Irelia does win the matchup. And then at the same time, Rolster went for the Senna weak side bot lane so they can allow Nunu to devote himself entirely towards playing towards the Rattel, which we know can be such a huge win condition for KT Rolster.
I really wish y'all at home could have heard Rocky Zoro during that game. He was shot calling me and Smacks throughout.
He was.
Don't worry about this dragon. It's all right, guys. Smacks and I were like, what?
Iraqis are our resident Irelia player. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing any more of that in Game 4 as ThunderTalk have removed their Ziggs ban in favor of it. Yeah, I mean, after a game like that and after ThunderTalk showed that they didn't really have any preparation for this Irelia, better to ban it.
Look at those 6 bans. All of them could be targeted at Z here. 6 solo lane bans here. 5 of them normally seen normally in the top lane. In the first pick, Ziggs. Second pick, first pick over for Rolster gonna be Senna. What catches your eye here, Rocky?
Yeah, 6 solo bans, that's going to be leaving Rattel a little bit without many options for strong side the top laners that he can take and solo carry the game again. And this is where I would like to see Isaac and Luna step up again, actually, because before when Rolster were looking so strong, it was because they had 3 carries on the team. It wasn't just Rattel popping up and hard carrying on his own. It wasn't just his show. It was the entire team playing together. And this time, I think we're going to have to see that again if they want to make the reverse sweep happen.
So it looks like ThunderTalk allowed Darius to go to the hands of Rattel. They like what they saw in Diana going back on over to Z. And then Lee Sin coming in for Chris. He was in position multiple times in that last game, Smacks, to make some steals, to make some saves. Wasn't quite able to, but you like the fact that he was there playmaking.
It's definitely hard to make steals happen against a Nunu and Willump that Doe likely will be piloting again. I don't really see the need to switch over. Still hiding that champion for later. But yeah, I really do like the look for Chris on this Lee Sin. I really like stepping up the tempo in this game. And for ThunderTalk, they do already have some late game insurance now with this Ziggs. Why not pack some more punch in that jungle yet again? But Digon, I'm really interested about what Luna is going to be going for with the Senna. I didn't dislike it. I do feel though, and this might be a hot take, I think Luna is the best Corki in the whole tournament. So I would like to see him on that pick. I don't know if it's gonna happen.
I don't know about that. Araki, Yasuo locked in here, but we had a couple picks beforehand. What do you see?
A lot of stuff happening. So the Diana, because Z showed it last game, is now a flex. It can go top or it can go mid. So ThunderTalk are still hiding their hand a little bit. And at the same time, we do see the Yasuo come out. Gragas support. That's a really strong fasting Senna lane. I think they'll be able to just play weak side just fine and not get dope. Is this the Vayne Feibai top lane again?
It might be.
Huge question mark here, but you know what's open? The thing that Rolster were banning away, and we got to see this fasting Senna lane happen before, I believe, yesterday. The Malphite. Yeah, baby!
Woohoo! They've got all the combinations ready for this Yasuo. Whichever player is going to be playing this is going to have a field day with the Unstoppable Force, the Explosive Cask. Even Apprehend can start setting up for the last breath combinations. I really like this. It provides Rolster Y with a very clear team fight and a lot of scaling.
Rocky, draft's done. What do you see?
I do think this Vayne is going to be ADC. I think Feibai is going to take the Diana and they're going to play Ziggs mid lane. That's what I'm expecting. But man, there's so much firepower on the side of Rolster Y, which is what I wanted to see. It's not... Rattel on the Darius, he cannot solo carry, and there's a lot of support that can come his way. I think Gragas is going to go jungle here. Is either Gragas jungle or Darius jungle? Probably Gragas jungle with Malphite's support. And it's a really nasty combo with the Yasuo and T-fights.
Yeah, we'll wait till the timer goes down and see where these champions move to. It's Darius top, it's support, and it is Z! Z in the mid lane playing Vayne!
Who else? Who else would it be? Z playing this Vayne against 4 melee champions too. He has a lot of capability to deal that damage, but he's got to deal with 2 things first. Wind wall from Yasuo and a big giant rock slamming onto his face. If he can take care of that, then I'm sure he can carry on this Vayne.
Well, bursting with excitement are our casters who want to weigh in on here, so Pastry and TJ, take it away.
I'm sorry, D-God, Pastry is not available. He screamed in terror, joy, something when that swap came through.
This is going to be great, whatever happens here. Z on Vayne, I didn't think he could play any more champions, and I was wrong. Shout out to the devs for holding it together when I'm screaming through their segment, by the way. If you caught that on the broadcast, I appreciate you. But hey, this series has given us everything, and I hope it gives us 5 games. And if KT are going to get there, TJ, they have tripled down on the only way they want to play. That's late game.
But here's the wild thing, Pastry. ThunderTalk saw that business deal and said, I'm in. We're going late game together. We're holding hands, a firm business handshake, and we're going 20 minutes of Wild Rift gameplay in game number 4 of this semi-final as Rolster fight to stay alive, and ThunderTalk with 1 more win are in the grand finals of the Horizon Cup.
Oh, it's just so spicy. I mean, Vayne vs Yasuo, not a mid lane matchup. I thought I was going to see this tournament, but I won't complain now that we've arrived.
I was so ready for this Vayne to maybe slip back over into the top side.
No! Z is playing at mid lane.
And he's already auto-attacking the enemy. And he's going back in. He's just saying, I think it's a no-fun zone. He's ignoring his own creeps.
Wow. Isaac challenges it, thinks it might be a fun zone if he asks nicely enough. And he's wrong, Pastry.
He is very wrong. And Z's going to hit level 2, and Isaac's going to have to chill out.
This is really exciting. Normally I have a vague idea of how matchups are going to play out. I'm just along for the ride here. This is just fun.
Yeah, Windwall's good against ranged champions, which is kind of the obvious one, but I don't think it's a fun time. Oh,
he popped his honey fruit!
He stole his fruit!
The disrespect!
He's like recalled at level 1. Oh, we got a couple. That's nice.
Walked into a man's house, popped his fruit, walked away.
It's like when you waltz into someone's house, just open the fridge, take their best snack, and leave. Like that is true disrespect by Z, who is trying to show off the mechanics. Again, on the road to claim the throne for best player in Wild Rift. And this is a hell of a way to get to the final if that's your plan.
And Chris is doubling down on the game plan. Moves C out ahead, early in lane, Doe to match.
No way they're diving. Oh my god, they're diving. Doe's here as well. Z's taking tower echo. He's going to have to pop the flash and the barrier to get out. But Doe almost followed him there. That Q's going to find him in the bottom lane. They're fighting because they have to prevent the move. And Azua's winning the 2v2 alongside S12K. And now they're fighting again as Chris. He's almost got Doe. Wait, he got the stun. And first blood went to S12K.
What am I watching, Pastry? A 4v4 on the bottom side of the map. And ThunderTalk come out ahead with first blood in this team fight at level 2. As Rolster now struggling to hold on to this bot lane turret.
TJ, the audience couldn't see that, so I'll paint the picture home. I'm not going to do that because they're already fighting again. Isaac? Oh goodness, Chris doesn't have ulti. He's just flipping behind him, showing him the moves.
The windfall didn't either with Resonating Strike.
I like it, and again, for those of you playing at home, I was sitting down with 1 water bottle, casually sipping away, trying to skate through this early game. I've since stood up,
you smell water again.
I have pre-saved, no I haven't, 2 water bottles to the desk to watch this one again. Look at Z! He's just chilling!
Top side, Rattel, under turret!
Oh, we're going for it again! It's too early to celebrate, we got more action! Rivers back, there we go, Rattel's in trouble! Feibai, you maniac, dives in! Why did you do that? It doesn't matter, they got the kill.
Chris could have just killed him! It's 1 for 1! Feyby gives Rattel early gold rather than let Chris take the kill.
It's not about the kill, it's about sending a message, and it has been received.
What's the message? I make mistakes.
Azua? Okay, we're chilling. Just wanted to bomb the rest of the wave. Takes a lantern out from S12K. Luna's like, did you recall in a dumb place? He's like, no, I did not. And he's gonna get out safely.
I'm struggling to hold it together, Pastry.
Remember when you said we're handshaking in the late game? Yeah, that was a lie.
It was a fake business deal. Both sides immediately reneged on the contract. Look at this! Just let Chris walk up! What are you doing?
I don't know, he's vibing. Faye vibes,
You can
at it
just
again.
auto-attack him! You can just tap the attack button and it will path to the kill!
Instead, it's Rattel getting some gold that he maybe didn't expect to have, but he'll be very happy to have it, mind you.
You could have smited him!
That's true, actually.
Didn't even have to get within axe range!
All right, well, ThunderTalk could be up even more gold. Instead, they're only up almost 2,000 gold.
They are up 2,000 gold in the early game, which is a real good sign for ThunderTalk, given that, again, Rolster are full committed to the late game. ThunderTalk do have late game potential in themselves. That's become from Azure on the Ziggs, most critically C on the Vayne. Late game Vayne is something else. Rolster, their power spikes come from the opposite side. Easy on this Yasuo, and yes, Luna on Senna. Here we go. The dragon.
They found it!
Cloud Drake!
They found the dragon! They've located it. Cloud Drake is their first haven. They are going to get it, but it is going to be a trade. ThunderTalk, they're going to take the Rift Herald.
And this is a good call for Rolster. Again, they're down 2,000 gold. And so for the first time in literally any competitive game I've ever watched Rolster play, they go for the Drake rather than the Rift Herald because they recognize, very easy, they recognize that they cannot take and win a team fight at this point. It is just about lasting until the late game.
Azure, good, respectful flash. Wanting to get out from under the thumb of the incoming Malphite ult. Salem, by the way, I guess this makes sense on Malphite's spot regardless, but he is going AP. He's not going to get as much gold as he would in, say, I don't know, mid lane, but definitely going to be a threat to the carries. As Rattel's in trouble, Senna ulti there, the kick doesn't quite get it. That's what he could have done last time.
He could have done that last time.
At least we know he understands the interaction, as Chris is going to maybe pop the Herald here as well.
Quick before Feyby dove turret again.
He's like, it's true. He's protecting his teammates. He's a true team player. As the Herald, not used just yet, but is available, of course, for Chris. That was the trade ThunderTalk took for that dragon.
Both top side. Here comes Salem to catch the wave, receive the goal, and they were considering making a play onto ThunderTalk if they kept chipping away at the turret. The ThunderTalk are very quick to get out.
What happens here? Feyby's chilling. That moonfall.
Yeah, he went
a lot
on a roundabout in full circle. Just smited him. It's that easy. You just tap the ability.
Perfect. Flash tap. Oh, S12K. He's done it again. Oh my god, he found two! It's not going to matter, but it looks so sick. Salem somehow alive. That feels unjust that S12K didn't get a kill.
He does not miss. And on the opposite side, Luna is the key factor. He keeps everyone alive there, playing that Senna very back of the team fight and just pumping out heals. There's the Rift Herald, summon in mid, but nobody from ThunderTalk there to play for it. It's a bait. It's all down here on Ezek.
Yep, it's to make the play here for Z. That's how they're going to get him gold, but Ezek's going to flash away.
No thank you. He manages to survive. They're going to try and give Z as much of this turret as they can, and maybe the entire turret. Here comes Rolster. Considering a rush down the river, no. They're going to recall.
First tower gold goes over to ThunderTalk, goes over to the lane Z was in. Azure gonna get locked up here. Luna can't do this on his own.
Reach! Arm's too short, Pastry!
Alrighty. Take stock, 7 minutes through, 3,000 gold ahead for ThunderTalk, and we don't have very long, because I think they're gonna start fighting again soon.
I think you're accurate about that. Rolster it doesn't particularly benefit them to fight, with one exception, that of course being Luna. And every time they fight, this Senna gets miles stronger if she's able to just farm souls in the back of the fight. ThunderTalk, it does very much behoove them to fight because they can shut down Ezek, this entire team competition ceases to make sense.
I think I found the minigame. S12K is like, aha, I've discovered the rest of the team, I'm out of here. And I think I figured it out. Z just wants to get in the side lane at 1v1 and farm, and Rolster just hunting him down with all the tanks and all the engage.
And the theory very much is, if you can kill the Yasuo center of the Yasuo composition, it's a nothing composition.
Yep.
So the theory for ThunderTalk is, yes, get Z side lane farm, also shut down Easy. It's 2-for-1. We call those freakies.
Looking good on ThunderTalk's side if that's the plan. See what happens though as it develops. As Z is going to get so much gold this game. This is very much a Z-centric mid-game and probably a Z-centric late game as well.
S12K has literally abandoned the Azure and is just shadowing Z around the map. It is his job to keep this Bane alive.
Z is roll swapping again. He's back to the Dragon lane now.
Roll swapping to Dua.
Azura's like, I don't mind the Ziggs champion. I can play mid for us. He's moonlighting right now in the mid lane. He is in trouble. Doesn't flash though. Chris also to protect as they're looking for the engage. Herald spawned again, but no one's rushing to the objective just yet. It's Rolster back to the Dragon.
A quiet flank here. Ratel has been farming in the side lanes. Though I don't have the items up, I suspect that this Darius is going to do a lot of damage in this next fight.
5v5 time. Ziggs ulti not bad, but not quite enough. S12K looking for it. Salem goes in. 5-2. There's the actual ulti. They pull them back to it. Picture perfect out of Rolster. They get Azure. That's great to start it off. But what can Z get here? He's rampaging through the team. Takes the lantern out to safety. And Chris is dancing around as Faber is trying to make it happen. But Luna dives in. He gets the snare. And now Isaac is going up. But Z is still alive somehow.
Huge! That's a massive Yasuo! Exactly what they need him! And Rolster have set back up, narrowing the gold lead. They eliminating the gold lead as they take this Dragon.
Watch it again. Here again. As this was just so good on the Axe replay out of Rolster. Salem gets straight in there, and as he said, the Yasuo comp does what Yasuo wants.
A perfect combo. Absolutely obliterates Azure. The Ziggs a non-factor in this team fight. And then watch the protection detail that Easy gets from Doe. Just bodyguarding him, making sure that Easy can find these kills. And Easy has then the backup. Luna steps forward, provides that backline damage, heal to keep Easy alive. It is all about Easy for Rolster.
That windmill angle was so sick there as well to block Z from getting the counter kill. Then he would have gotten Zeke was denied like 3 different kills there in that team fight, despite pumping out damage the whole time. 2 out of Bane, it's just not enough when your team gets evaporated every team fight.
Critically, Z did not die, however, and is still on track to do late game damage. We may get another team fight to prove that here around the Rift Herald.
Herald is the objective, started up already. In fact, looking to be finished by Rolster. Ziggs out there, they're going to try and find the steal instead. It's Yasuo finding a pick onto one, but the rest of ThunderTalk are trying to move back in. There's Doe now with the engage onto S12K, but Z's going to disengage. Condemn tumbles away as Rolster hunting for a kill.
They're okay with this. You see them force that fight down bottom, separate Chris from the team. Chris is going to recall. That's all right. Rolster just want to keep this game going. They are still committed to the game plan, the strategy that has served them so well for so long. They will win if they get to 20 minutes.
All right, 9 minutes left or thereabouts there for Rolster Y. Gold lead's been shredded down as well. ThunderTalk barely up 1,000 gold right now. It's just going to be, again, on this Bane and on this Ziggs. They are both very potent carries, but it just looks like the fight is so much harder, even if the gold is even.
I will go so far as to say I believe Azure will be a non-factor until we get to like the 15-minute mark, at which point he will have the tools to survive in the back of the team fight. Until then, he's just going to get deleted the second a team fight starts. The difference for Z is he does have that tumble, makes Vayne a little bit harder to track down between the tumble and the condemn. I believe he can keep using at range, keep Ratel from just comboing to death, and that makes him the most important player over on ThunderTalk. He needs to do the damage that stops Ratel and Ezek from just eating this team alive.
And again, on the other side, it is definitely the Yasuo-centric comp, so Isaac looking good there. 2 items and counting now, as they're continuing to defend this mid tower as well. I mean, ThunderTalk are trying to 1-3-1 them, but Rolster doing a very good job of keeping these side lanes honest.
Watch this sweep down here. Rolster beginning the fight. Anytime they can get an opportunity to start fights, it's going to come through Salem or Ratel. Talbot in the Protobelt Darius. Here we go.
Oh, that's so nice. Everywhere, Salem just covers 4 screens. A whole tablet worth of engage there for Salem. It's a turret trade there, but that's not going to be enough against this Herald.
Yeah, Rift Herald's very likely going to get 2 charges off here. This is Rolster growing their gold lead and growing their gold lead onto their critical carries.
They don't have a gold lead yet. Their Herald is not going to charge again. It was denied. Nice moves there from S12K. So good. That being said, ThunderTalk are not very far ahead, and I think in this kind of game, unless you are going to show me the best Vayne I've ever seen in Wild Rift in late game. I don't think you can navigate these 5v5s.
He does have, I believe, the second most golden hit behind Rattel. So the carries are still the carries. Seeing Rattel still shooting up his goal. And as a reminder, I did mention it earlier, it was a little bit quiet in the last team fight. It was decided by wombo combos, but Rattel is building a very, very big Darius. Expect him to shred these team fights.
Yeah, this ain't tank Darius this time around. It's still carry Rattel, which is nice. You love to see it there. Outer also making sure that their key carry really in their last series, and in this one as well, it seems like, is still getting those tools.
I don't think ThunderTalk can contest this Drake. They don't have the team fight for it right now. The Zor's so far behind.
Do you think they are going to contest this Drake?
Chris is going to be able to steal at the very least.
Gonna miss it. Ooh, no! He finds it! And there's the lantern out. Chris! That's so nicely done.
Chris steals away the dragon. Yet another heroic performance by the ThunderTalk jungler.
And he's been very good this series. Doe heating up as well. Off of the Graves, onto the tanks. Looking a lot better there out of the Rolster jungle as well. I feel like both teams are ramping up as the series goes on, and ThunderTalk are throwing more and more surprises, and Rolster have a couple in their back pocket as well.
I do not understand how ThunderTalk continue to keep this gold lead. It's all on their side lane farming, objective steals like that. But by piecemeal, by individual skirmishes and pickups, they've managed to maintain a gold lead in a game where Rolster are so terrifying in the team fight, they refuse to fight them.
Again, now they have to stick together, have to dodge out the Malphite, who's just glued to the Yasuo basically in any roam.
Sweeping on the cutoff.
They've already found the cut. Azure is just dead to rights. That flash was not worth it. S12K, I would also revisit that because I don't think you want to pull the team closer to you right now.
The key ults are down.
Oh, we'll see. That's maybe a pick, but Dur is pretty tanky. Salem finds the other side of it all. Now Z going to get moved back in. It's Rattel trying to find the kill on Salem with the Protoball, finishes it off, and the backside of the fight's gone horribly wrong. Luna's gonna live, but for how much longer? Feibai behind Chris as Luna's just getting out of there, and I think Luna's out.
Luna manages to just speed away, and he will survive. The fight goes well for Rolster, considering a 2-for-1 trade at the end of the day, and a kill most critically onto Z. As ThunderTalk spot an opportunity, they say, you blew an incredible amount of ultimates just to kill Azure. That was Dawning Shadow, that was the last breath out of Isaac. There were none of the key team fight ultimates available to finish the combos. So Rolster are vulnerable despite having a player advantage, and ThunderTalk are so unafraid that they are willing to launch that 4v5 assault, and they walk away 1-for-1.
All right, now TJ, we keep talking about the late game. We're about 4 minutes from the 20-minute mark as Chris is trying to find something there. Nice little play, but not enough. I have to point out, Baron is up, and the Elder is next. And the Elder is a real spicy one, TJ. It's the Infernal.
We are going to team fight for Rolster's tournament lives. It is going to come down to the team fight for or around this Elder Infernal Drake, and Rolster know it. That's why they're playing defense now, slowing things down, trying to find isolated picks if they can get them, but not taking any risks, not with Luna.
Oh, now they have to try and get the tower. It's so annoying. The Zig Satchel is there, but they can't get it. It's so dangerous to group to try and finish it off, and that is a big deal for Rolster trying to take these big objectives.
And Rolster are entirely dependent upon those tanks to protect the backline. We saw things go wrong in the last team fight when Luna and Isaac were left exposed. That cannot happen again. Should that happen in a fair 5v5, ThunderTalk would have won the fight outright. They must defend their backline for the dive. That dive going to come out from Chris and Feibai.
Baron bait, S12K in trouble. Protobot's out to safety. Feibai also there, but everyone's backing away.
30 seconds on this Infernal Elder. It's coming up. And Rolster have no control of the river nearby. ThunderTalk forcing the Korean team to walk into the bush, to walk into the river blind.
Rolster just want a team fight. ThunderTalk just flirting with them, not giving them the fight that they're looking for. But they have to respect the potential Baron. They have to respect this as well. Feibai flashes, that's 12K. Gonna get himself slowed up. Now move back in with the Gragas cast. There's the Dawning Shadow, and that's going to be enough. Zig's ulti not good as Salem is going to find one, but that's not enough either as Z is popped the ulti. They're going in, but he's got stayed up by Luna. That's all they're after, but Feibai's popping up in the fight.
almost gets Luna, but it's not done yet. Z, though, still fighting, shoots down Doe, and now Rattel gonna go back through, but Z is still alive. But the snare from Luna, the stasis is actually enough as Z finds the flash over into the Raptor pit.
2 for 1. Luna somehow miraculously keeps himself alive in the back of this team fight. Yet again, the miracle worker that makes Rolster's late games work. As the pressure comes his way, perfectly timed stasis, perfectly timed flash. He manages to survive off of his own mechanical skills. The team fight starts well as S12K oversteps, but they don't find the setup for E6 Yasuo ultimate, which means they're scrapping for the rest of this team fight. And when Feibai finds that ultimate, things are going sideways. But look at Luna, stasis underneath the turret, 1 HP, survives and manages to return damage from that low HP, healing himself up, keeping his team alive.
The Elder is up, and Rolster in the area. Chris is already here alongside Z though. Where is everybody else? Rolster are a little late to this.
They want to give red buff over to Ezek, look at that. He's doing the extra work during this moment, knowing that ThunderTalk can't start the Infernal by themselves. Rolster preying upon that indecision. ThunderTalk trying to exploit it themselves, splitting out across the map, giving blue buff over to their carry Feibai.
Gonna have to remember to breathe. These are gonna be very long team fights, TJ.
ThunderTalk are doing Baron. Nobody's got vision on them.
Wait,
they can just do Baron.
They're flipping it. Chris is just going for the steal. They have to know he's done this every time. And now they move, and now they go in. They're gonna kill the jungler. That's a beautiful wombo combo. Salem dead, despite the Thresh Lantern. And now Z is going for the fight. Double play there. Z has popped the ulti. Salem in trouble, but not dead yet. The Elder is theirs. Secured by Rolster. That should be it. Rattel, Protobelt's in. Z the target. This looks like game 5 on my screen, TJ. Rolster doing it again. The ace is so close. Rolster pushing in now onto Azure. It's only S12K left alive.
I think you're right, Pastry. I think Rolster have done it. With the Elder Infernal pickup, it is almost impossible for ThunderTalk to get back in this game. Rolster are going to take their time. It looks like they're considering a Baron, but it almost does not matter because at this point, they have an almost insurmountable lead. And against the brink of elimination, they've won 2 games in a row and tied up the series. The only thing that can stop them now is heroics from Z.
And the Winions, S12K roaming on in. Maybe looking for a steal, gonna interfere with Isaac here, and Isaac's just gonna let it go.
Oh man, those minions.
Yeah, they're mean business.
Really shredding the Nexus as well. Not a great sign for Rolster. It will make it a little bit harder to find split map pressure here, as they push in through the 2 bottom lanes. That top lane is going to be a little bit more difficult to make things happen out of. That creates an opportunity. ThunderTalk want to outlast this Baron. It won't increase their odds tremendously, but anything's better than fighting into a double buff team.
I mean, there's just no way they can win this game, right?
I have seen some late game Vaynes. Late game Vayne does enough damage that the Elder Infernal might not matter. Rolster can find this fight with her separated though.
I like this from Rolster. CZ immediately pressure. Rattel's cruising up in the top lane as well. S12K getting himself poked out, but it's going to be all right. Z's forced to back and he does rejoin the team.
And it's not just Z, there's also Azure who's going to really come into his own in the late game. And look at that wave clear.
S12K, he's starting it off. He doesn't find it though.
Luna half HP'd by the combo, needs to play the safe. Here comes Chris.
Chris is the fight, Feibai goes back in. They found it. ThunderTalk going for the team fight. And Z's still alive. The GA's going to keep him up. But Azure needs to live as well. Rattel is getting poked up as Z still fighting alongside Feibai. They got the Zig, but Z is still going. And Luna's dead. ThunderTalk found the team fight.
They've done it. Z finds the team fight he needs. And ThunderTalk fight into the Elder Infernal, and they win the fight.
Is the game over?
I don't know. 30 seconds. It's going to be the best shot of ThunderTalk versus Rattel. Who else to try and save the game for Rolster?
I don't think they can end, but they're going to do some damage here. Isaac's up in 15 seconds. Feibai's pushing bot lane. They get 1 tower. 2 would be very nice here.
This is possible if the bottom lane turret goes down, so Rattel needs to force in.
Oh, he's just fighting me now. He's dead. Great
Condemned.
stun out of Z. There's Chris with the kick. The stasis buys critical time. Precious seconds that they need. And now Rattel goes back through. He's dunking Z, but Z takes him out. So here comes Salem for revenge. And Isaac gets a kill as well.
An excellent play by Salem. Protobelt, unstoppable force. He shuts down the carry for ThunderTalk. They made all of this possible. And Rolster, hold on by Rattel.
It's just big blows, knockout punches being thrown, but no one's blown to the mat just yet. Great save there from Mattel. Salem there, finishing the job. Carry's dead for 25 seconds, but ThunderTalk will get another fight here.
ThunderTalk will get another fair fight. Rolster are not about to fight without Rattel. That means Rolster must once more 5 versus 5 team fight for their tournament lives here in the Horizon Cup.
Z's done, by the way. His build's ready. I mean, if you're going to put your team to the finals, if you were going to fulfill their narrative that you have laid out since your team started the campaign at Horizon Cup, this is one hell of a game to carry.
Baron in 15 seconds. ThunderTalk must do the impossible. Elder Infernal Dragon versus a late game scaling team. ThunderTalk must win a 5v5 team fight and end this game.
Chris, surprise. Not a surprise he wants, but Rattel's not going to go in for it here. Very tense here. This game is long.
Rattel versus Z happening now in the bottom lane. Rattel does have TP and can return to this fight up top. That's why Rolster turned eating to the Baron.
No TPs for ThunderTalk either. So they can't go for this now. Ziggs is going to get the bad news, and Baron has been shredded and dead.
Can they get out? Can they get out? Here comes ThunderTalk to try and force the 5v4. They've got Z rotating in.
And now Doe onto Azua, but he gets dodged. Now Chris is going back through. The Yasuo only needs one. There's the stasis lantern out again. Azua clicks on it. He is going to lift, but Salem finds a kill in the back of the fight. And Z just hasn't joined his team. So much time being bought for Chris, but I'm not sure it's enough as Doe's going to live through the assault.
A perfect team fight for Rolster. They mitigate the threat from ThunderTalk, who split them in half around that Baron. And now, with 2 kills, surely this should be game. Making 3 kills, a Baron buff, 24 minutes, the longest game of the tournament. And Rolster keep their hopes alive.
It's Z versus the world, and the world has answered. Rolster are going to give us game number 5.
I'm washing my hands. I gotta get some of this series off of them. There's too much series all over my hands, Pastry. We're going to game 5 in the semi-finals.
Oh boy. I don't think water's going to be enough. We're going to have to pipe oxygen into the desk at some point. That game especially, my goodness, every 5v5 lasted an eternity, which makes sense in a Rolster game. They don't lose when they get past 20 minutes. That has held true so far this series. It is very fitting that Rolster's game that pushes them to the shot at the final is the longest game in Horizon Cup.
Well, don't dot your eyes, cross your T's yet.
Yeah, true. We could still have the longest game in Horizon Cup.
It does still come down to this game 5. This semi-final determines who goes on to face Darkon Gaming in the grand finals of the Horizon Cup. And I genuinely could not predict a winner at this point.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to predict one either. So let's send it over to Smack Stigon and Iraqi Zoro ahead of the 5th game.
Thank you very much, guys. It is a Game 5, our first Game 5 here in the knockouts, and it feels deserved. It has been a bloody battle here for Rolster as they've gone to the deepest wells of resilience to battle back here, Smacks.
That game was insane. That has to be the single best game of the Horizon Cup so far. I don't want to count out the rest of them. We still have one more game in this series. We still have the finals, but I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up being the best one because that was the longest one. The fights were the best. Every single moment had me on the edge of my seat, you on the edge of your seat, and then Iraqi as well. We were all just so tense here. I love that game so much.
Iraqi, let's get you in here, man, just because this draft, we talked about it during the draft phase. The Yasuo wasn't quite finding the way through. You were talking about maybe Rolster overthought the draft with putting the Gragas and the Malphite in there. Get in there.
Yeah, I think Rolster Y in a way outsmarted themselves. Not having Gragas as the duo lane with the fasting Senna meant that they lose bot prio. And then when they did flex it to the jungle, they also lost on an opportunity to pick up a stronger jungler. Combine that with the fact that they have a melee versus ranged matchup in the mid lane between Yasuo and Vayne, which automatically means you lose prio in that lane as well for the first 3 levels. It meant that ThunderTalk could literally do whatever they wanted on the bot side of the map for the entirety of the early game, and Rolster Y had no way of fighting back.
Yes, let's take a look at the highlights. There's a whole lot of it, because of course it was the longest game of the Horizon Cup, regardless of what round it was in. And it started off here, a decent engage on the Yasuo, which forced a rotation around, or a decent engage on the Vayne, which rotated around down on the bottom side of the map, and then very sneakily got the kill. Rattel was able to pick off this trade right here as well that made TJ confused. Oh, you could have just smited here, I believe is what TJ said here. Rocky, get in there.
Yeah, I mean, the saving grace for Rolster Y is the fact that they have a so much stronger 5v5 team fighting composition. So as long as the gold gap wasn't too large coming out of the early game, which I don't think it was somewhere between 2 and 3k, they can have team fights exactly like this one that you can see on your screen, where they can just force with their wombo combo of Malphite and Yasuo and take them with ease. And at that point, their composition does come to show, and their idea and draft does work.
I was a little worried for them at that early game because, like we saw, they were down pretty heavily on the side of Rolster Y, but as soon as that first Malphite ultimate hit 3 members, I knew that we were in for a banger, and then they just keep on going. This entire highlight reel is just Malphite ult after Malphite ult.
Yeah, and that one where they cut the Ziggs in mid lane, that was kind of frustrating for me if I'm a ThunderTalk fan, because they were in the process of setting up the 1-3-1. You have the wave clear with Ziggs, but they went deep. And this is where it got scary if you're a Rolster fan. Watch Salem here. Salem looking to ult someone. Salem looking to ult anyone. Whiffs his ult. And this is where Z goes crazy. And Feibai, who's been under a lot of scrutiny before this series, has the opportunity to clean up here, Rocky.
Yeah, I mean, he has the Diana, so it's a pick that he's really comfortable on. And I mean, how insane was this late game? Because after that, they almost lost the game, but they came back. They took Elder, they took Baron, and then they find another amazing team fight where their composition can come through. And I have to say, at this point, I'm pretty sure Rolster Y are feeling themselves. There's a lot of momentum coming in with them. They're so close to the reverse sweep and making it to the grand finals of the most prestigious tournament of the entire year for Wild Rift.
All right, hey, and a reminder that Araki Zoro, Professor Araki Zoro that is, picked Rolster to win this one. And as you can see, he was very hype while watching Rolster win. I'm telling you, me and Smacks, we're ready to get in the game, man, just because he's constantly shot calling what's next. He's clapping, he's saying, "Let's go, guys!" And I'm like, oh, Smacks, my guy.
It was awesome. Oh man, look at that pop up. It was an intense game for all 3 of us, but really, if you just watch this one, you can tell that Araki was definitely taking it the hardest and taking it the hypest as well.
Yeah, all right, rightfully so. The tie was just getting tighter and tighter. So now, with the tie being 2-2, either one of you switching on your predictions here. Smacks, I'll go with you first.
I think I have the harder job. I think Araki Zoro is probably not going to swap his, but I'm not going to swap mine either. I'm sticking by ThunderTalk's side. I think they can stop the momentum and stop the reverse sweep.
Professor, we staying with the Rolster pick here?
I mean, why give up now? I had faith coming in. The 75% fan vote had faith coming in, and I'm going to stay by that. I hope they can close out. The momentum is on their side. Just got to clean up the early game a little bit and try not to fall as far behind, and then wait for your strengths, which are the team fighting and the later on gameplay that you can do as a team.
All right, well, ThunderTalk, remember, we saw them cackling earlier when Rolster pulled out the Vayne ban. Not so loose now. A little bit more focused. I wouldn't say dejected, but a little bit more focused. 2-2 here. Winner moves on to the finals of the first international LAN for Wild Rift, the Horizon Cup Finals. Who will it be? Let's find out with Pastry and TJ. Take us home, boys.
Thank you very much, Tegan. We have arrived, TJ, at game number 5. Hopefully, not the only 5th game of the tournament, but we only got one more chance left, and that's tomorrow. And we'll see if Darkun Gaming are facing either ThunderTalk or KT Rolster Y.
I'm holding onto the desk like a race car. I don't know where I'm going next, Pastry.
It might speed away at any moment at this rate. You know, I've knocked over a water bottle. We've like thrown some stuff around.
I will say I jumped during that last game and the entire desk rolled forward.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that's the next thing is that we come back to us. It's just no desk. We pushed it over to the other side of the studio because the game's so hype.
I don't know if we have a clip of it, but at the end of game number 2, Pastry threw his empty water bottle up in the air, and it did a flip and landed right behind his chair, right behind him in the chair, and it is one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
Unfortunately, don't have to believe your story. I don't believe we have that one on record, but you're my witness to my incidental sweet empty water bottle flip.
It was gnarly, dude.
You know, I tell you what's gnarly. Team fights in the last game.
Oh.
And game 5 pretty gnarly too. Alrighty, it's back on blue, or still on blue perhaps for ThunderTalk. Red here for Rolster in the last one, and I think Z and Rattel are losing some picks because honestly, TJ, despite all of the great things that have happened, every film has great supporting cast, but it's really about the leads. And the leads in this series are absolutely the 2 carries. It is Z versus Rattel once again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to see if we get a full 6-ban focus on stars last draft. As I believe Smacks pointed out, every single ban was targeted at either Z or Rattel. And that unfortunately means a whole lot of top lane characters get banned, which does narrow the pool for Rattel. He was forced out of the hard carry pool onto a Darius last game, which he looked pretty good on, but just couldn't have the same game impact he could on many of the other picks here. And we are indeed getting it out of ThunderTalk. That's a complete run back, and Rolster running back as well. Same sex.
Malphite's scary.
Is Malphite scary?
Oh, Sen is scary. That's the problem they want to run.
Wow.
Interesting.
So, ThunderTalk draft away the Senna. This could be a match by 6. This Senna does open up all kinds of things for the ThunderTalk bottom lane, where Estor Kane has been playing very well. I'm curious if we'll see maybe a Galio come through there, a Gragas come through there, and be hard carries.
Lucian.
This is interesting. Rolster pivoting a little bit earlier in the game, Pastry. This is more reminiscent of what Rolster do domestically, where they win around the second Dragon team fight, around the 10 to 15 minute mark, as opposed to in these late game 20-minute marks.
Chris back on Lee, I do like that. I think he's been excellent on the pick so far. Not much reason to change that here. I'm guessing this does kind of signal that Ezek's going to be playing Ziggs, and it's going to be Luna's Lucian, but I guess I will leave the door open for Rattel's Lucian as well.
We'll keep our eye on that. And Lucian could go anyway, but I do expect it to go in Luna's hands. What do you pull out mid for Rattel though? He's seen the pick, he has counter pick now. Darius down.
And not much left. I actually like that pick a lot for that reason. So it is Olaf, which could be top, could be jungle. There is flexibility there.
Rolster do play Olaf top. This is a thing that happens in the WCK. I don't like it very much. I don't think it's especially good, but it is all right into Darius because his CC doesn't land. I think until there is evidence otherwise, I would expect that to be in the jungle though.
All right, well,
that's the evidence.
All right, well, it's not going to be this, as Nunu is picked in. But what if it was center mid though?
I assume it's not going to be your center mid.
It's definitely not going to be center mid.
But I will give you...
But I am very prepared if it's somehow is.
If it is center mid, I will just give you like 20 seconds. You can just talk about your solo queue.
You know, it's been great for me. That's all the people need to know.
No, only if it gets
all right. It's good. It's Orianna. We're back at Orianna, which narratively is very interesting to me. We'll let you chat first.
Well, I think the biggest marker here is that ThunderTalk has stolen the late game away from Rolster. They do have the Lee Sin to kind of bridge that gap, but they are playing to Senna, Orianna, the late game. Rolster on the opposite side do have a late game threat that Olaf gets multi-scary, Ziggs does all right in the late game, but their power spike is going to be a little bit earlier around this Lucian. They've got the clear CC train built up, Nunu into Nami. They're going to try and use that to win mid-game teamfights, and that means they're going to have to move a mite faster than they did in the other 4 games of this series.
Which has not been a strength for Rolster. They are the 20-minute team. I feel like the matchups here are Z versus Rattel and KT versus the clock. And if they make it to 20 minutes, it's double thumbs up and they win. If not, typically things fall to pieces.
Yeah, and not this game. Though they will still have late game power, it's not going to be the same. The Senna, the Orianna, the biggest late game powerhouses available in a draft are both over on ThunderTalk thanks to some very shrewd drafting. And that means this game 5 of the semi-final, the single game that determines which team advances to play Darkun in the grand final of the Rising Cup, is going to be completely different from every game we've seen so far.
Wouldn't have it any other way for a game 5. And the thing I was going to say, you know, for the Z, the player we've talked about for ThunderTalk this whole time, it is very fitting to me that if he's going to qualify and make it to that final, it'll be on Orianna, a champion I kind of want to say he's learnt or relearned as he's played through the tournament, because his day 1 Orianna was very different from today's Orianna.
Day 1 Orianna was like mayonnaise. Here in the semi-finals, it's spicy pastry.
It is very spicy, that is true. The other thing is, like, ThunderTalk, if they're gonna play, go later, play 5v5, it's gonna be a team. They're gonna out-team fight KT.
That's what the Orianna draft does insist on. If you draft an Orianna, you are demanding that your team organize in front of you. And I think what's most interesting about that is it is a bet on Z, but it is also Z betting on his teammates. Z leading into the team that ThunderTalk has built over the course of this tournament.
Exactly!
As they step forward in Game 5 with their tournament lives on the line.
Nice and easy to remember how long this roster's been together, because it's the exact same length as Horizon Cup. As we'll see what happens here. It is the 5th and final game of tonight. We will find out who is going to be playing in the grand final up against Darkun Gaming. Will it be the All Chinese affair with ThunderTalk qualifying? Will it be Rolster completing the reverse sweep and showcasing a rivalry that we have seen many times in esports?
The earliest jungle presence is going to be a bit of a race. You can expect Doe to arrive pretty early in lane. He's got Nunu, but Chris can fight dead lane. First 2-3 levels because of course they're on Lee Sin. So this game is going to start scrappy.
Early goal for Ratelda as well. It takes a little bit out of the mid lane there for Isaac. We've seen this already from him.
Isaac on the scenes is playing a waiting game. You're keeping things at a distance. He's going to share some of that XP with Ratel, boosting him about a level ahead if everything goes to plan.
Also, I think has some focus on the bottom side of the map. Really from something we haven't seen much in this series. We had that one game where Chris went bottom lane and set up Azua, but it's really been the top side, which makes sense given the positioning of the carries in this series. But I think especially for the Rolster side, Luna's going to have to get aggressive, which is not something he really does in the 2v2.
No, Luna is the master of kiting. Luna is the master of hiding behind his carries and team fights. This game is going to demand that Luna play aggressively in that Lucian. More so, it's going to be dependent on Doe's early presence in lane. Do they early down the Senna in order to shut that down?
Ratel already forcing Zarya actually out of favor, yeah. The Pocket Olaf coming out nicely here in the early stages of this game.
Even before Ragnarok's online, the Darius trading pattern kind of demands people be up close, and then he wants to separate. And Olaf is very good at just staying up close and personal.
Ratel even roaming down for the crab. Are they giving him... Yeah, they are. He's just taking a little bit of extra here. I love that play. Wait, is there a crab? Am I going crazy? There is a crab there.
All right, Pacey.
I'm not losing it. You're losing it.
Game 5 taking its toll. This crab will indeed go over to Chris. Was it ever really there? Don't ask Pastry.
Yeah,
he's going to go for an invade. Wow.
Very obviously not a jungler, as Chris. He's going to try it. Doe is here, though. Chris does not know. And the team does. So now it could be trouble. The rest of the squad are roaming up there. Chris is like, aha. I see what's going on. Oh, he missed it. He can't steal it. Oh, there we go. Back in. Oh, he got it.
He stole it! I don't know what to make of this!
That's very casual, but he did get it. I like that.
Everything went wrong for ThunderTalk. Rolster had the perfect opportunity. Chris still manages to make away with the blue buff.
Great success there. It's Chris. Ooh, early Executioner's calling.
Yeah, I will say one of the things that matters a lot in this game is just the early game tempo. And what we're seeing right now, where Rolster are having to fight to defend their own buffs, where they're having to fight inside their own jungle because of Chris's presence, that may decide this series.
Already kicked him, but not going to follow onto Isaac, but a lot of damage done here, opening up some space face for Z, as Chris continues to take farm away, and Rattel almost solo killed Feibai.
And this is the performance that won them games number 1 and 2. Chris dominating the jungle on this Lee Sin and continuing to steal away everything he can, forcing Doe to fight for table scraps.
Yeah, I think he did manage to smite that Raptor away, did Doe, but still not what he really wants to be doing with his time. Feibai has got himself to Bell, but watch this one again here. How did this almost happen for Rattel?
Well, you see this Olaf is going to walk.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Very quick fingers, by the way, from the center. Feibai, happy to have Azua awake and ready to go with a very quick Dawn Shadow.
And there's just nothing you can do if you're the Darius aside from this. You could even ping the ult. Like, Rattel burned ult. Unfortunately, because it's Wild Rift, that does.
Here comes Chris, looking for the kick, doesn't grab it just yet. Dodges the bubble though, and the tidal wave's gonna connect, and oh my goodness, the snowball is rolling on in. The first blood still available. Zig's dunk is there, and Doe is gonna get it. Now Azua's left for Darius. Rolster is gonna find 2 kills.
Rolster with a massive double kill. Finally finds their early game tempo exactly where we asked them to. It's down in the bottom lane. Luna benefiting from both kills. The actual gold getting passed over to Doe, enabling them to build a frontline tank that ThunderTalk are going to struggle to work through in this mid game.
Watch this one again. ThunderTalk a little more than they could chew here in the Axe replay.
Luna with a very good calling, an instant response by Salem from that tidal wave. The second they realized that they might be able to find an over-aggressive Lee Sin. And that's exactly what they need to do as Rolster. Punish everything ThunderTalk are giving.
Doe is behemoth right now on this Nunu.
Don't do this, Rattel.
Sunfire came there, Rattel thinks better of it.
He wasn't checking for vision. They had a ward in there, so I genuinely don't know why Rattel was thinking about walking into a 1v3.
Walking into a different 1v3.
Chris got all.
The Q.
He's got all.
Feibai's in. Chris is there. My goodness, he does a lot of damage, but there's Dawning Shadow, and there's the dunk out of Feibai for the kill.
Chris burning. 1 HP. Chris survives, and he picks up the gold as well.
Techno going in, but he's pretty strong on this stick, so Feibai's going to have to back out of there. And the thing that they want is the side they want to win on here. Rolster got the bottom lane tower off that.
In trouble here.
Left it. Can't do anything. He actually clears the wave and chills out. Now Z's here. They're going for everything. Shockwave hits. Not enough damage. Almost enough damage, but now Rattel's back. Z's flashing back. Now going to try and make it happen. That W missing might cost Z his life here.
Rattel doesn't have ulti, and that means he can't close the distance. This slows the center route. They're too scary. And he will back away, but he does a good call in the midst of all that, Julian. And that is that Rolster did manage to contribute that bot lane turret into Luna's bank account. He's now a very big Lucian, and it's freed up Salem. Salem no longer charged with escorting that Lucian. Your bottom lane can come up here and protect Rattel against the pressure that's going his way.
This gold lead for Rolster. This is looking like early ThunderTalk in the first open games of the series.
A very good sign for them. But look at ThunderTalk, wow, just completely committed to killing Rattel. They know he's a carry player, and they are devoting all of their resources to getting this kill. Because after games 1 through 5, they are certain that if they can shut down Rattel, they can win this game.
There's a trade as well. They don't get the kill, but they do get the tower. That is nice here for ThunderTalk. It's not enough to close the gold gap, but it does cut it in about half.
They'll need to reset though, and that means Rolster will constantly command in the middle of the map. They're going to press forward here with the Ziggs. They might be able to do turret damage.
Really nice from Z to stop that culling. But it's just wave clear duty. Like, Z's not going to have that offensively now if ThunderTalk want to make a play.
Cooldown's relatively long.
Herald here. ThunderTalk trying to crack open the mid tower. They couldn't get in game number 4. Going to get the charge off here.
Doe carries the route into Luna. That means that the Rift Herald charges. A little bit of trolling, just for the team, just for the boys.
Well, still got, 850 HP left on the tower, so not dead just yet, but, noodling around does happen sometimes. He's going to snowball wherever he wants. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Mostly it's good.
I don't think that Rolster should subscribe to this ideology that you're pitching me, Julian.
Yeah, I do agree that, stylistically, doesn't seem like they line up with that kind of style. The free-form jazz Nuno. I think they're much more rigid and classical.
This is a very interesting way of branding a Nuno that just runs it down in my games.
he even have Sweeper? I think he's fine. Don't get the pass from him.
ThunderTalk playing very defensively right now, and again, this is a flip of previous games. The pressure is on Rolster to do something into Oriana's center, which is going to get so scary towards the 15-minute mark. They need to fight now if you're Rolster. This window around the 8 to 10-minute mark is their strongest. They're going to get worse and worse, I think, as Luna's going to start falling off. They'll still have damage in the late game, but they'll have to fight into the peak performance of ThunderTalk.
Feibai and Azure just chilling out, knowing the pressure is coming here in the top side of the map. There is a Rift Herald up in 20 seconds that Rolster are looking to play for.
Joe scared away. This Rift Herald would be big for Rolster. It would open up the middle of the map, which is their main goal right now. They can lock down this blue turret. That means the further objectives go their way, and that mitigates the lane. The goal here, like they can have Drakes, is to give themselves tools to work with. As we go later in this game, this Samus Oriana get bigger and bigger.
Dragon's up as well. Chris has been down the bottom lane this whole time, actually, so I'm looking to try and set up for this Dragon. Here comes Rattel on the flank. Azure completely out of position.
Rattel
pulls the trigger but doesn't find the axe. They now reset the Dragon, so a bit awkward here for Rolster.
And ThunderTalk are completely out of position. Look at Luna just poking over the wall. Here comes Rattel.
Ziggs ulti down. They're going to try and dodge it. Here's Rattel going in again. Pops the Ragnarok. Azure with the Dawning Shadow going to try and save the day. S12K barely live. Rattel barely lives. And somehow everyone's walking away.
Nobody dies in a 5 versus 5 team fight in game number 5 for both teams' tournament hopes. As Rolster back away, or forced to back away, it's a good execution of their sequence, but ThunderTalk are very aware of what's about to hit them. You see this instant kite come out from them. Azure helping the team back away from that threat.
And Chris just keeps the wave going, trying to pressure this bottom side tower, still open up more space around this Dragon. Time for a reset now for ThunderTalk. They have made their way back here, and Z's ulti's cooling off very quickly.
Around the Drake, ThunderTalk to a vision set up, and they're starting to push forward. Use Feibai and S12K as their front line, try to position Z and Azure behind it, just poking out damage. If Rolster want to win this fight, they need to get Rattel in specific into that backline, give him access to Z.
Z also poking here in this siege. ThunderTalk are trying to open up space before they get onto this Dragon. They're being patient here. Not something we've really had to see from them, honestly, but very Rolster-like, honestly, in this situation.
Yeah, ThunderTalk playing patiently and slowly in this mess.
I'm going to take it back in a moment because Chris, a little too close to the Ola, who's going to dash away. Great shockwave out of Z, but no follow-up, and he lost a lot of health in the trade there. And now S12K is locked up, and that should be a kill. No, not yet. The Dawning Shadow going to save him temporarily, but Chris can't find it. Gets the kick instead. Kicks Luna into the team, and he's dead. Chris has found the play that might save him here. As Feibai now roams on in.
And ThunderTalk see Rattel on the bottom side of the map, and they pull the trigger. They know they can play aggressive. There is no tool to gain access to the backline. The only thing they need to do is shut down Luna, and they do exactly that. Chris, the hero, yet again for ThunderTalk.
High value bomb there for Isaac to cancel 2 recalls, but they're just going to take the 2 kills, 2-for-1 trade in favor of ThunderTalk, reset it up, and look again, TJ. That gold lead, less than 1,000 now. Chris is even starting the Drake.
Spotted by this Redemption, very well played. Here comes Salem to try and harass. He doesn't have the safety. Watch S12K on this flank. This is so dangerous for Rolster.
Here as well, though, there's the Ziggs bomb down. Feibai spinning on in, they're on to Doe. Luna again, but now Doe's completely isolated. He's dead! No, he's not dead yet. He now finally falls to Feibai. Senna now trying to get the roots down, and there's a double kill. Feibai's popping up, and Rattel is going to dive back through. Who gets the Dragon? Doesn't matter right now, because Senna's slain the enemy, and now the rest of ThunderTalk are diving on in, and Chris is just comboing everyone into oblivion, including that Mount Drake.
A perfect team fight for ThunderTalk. They do find the Drake in the midst of all that, and Rolster can't respond to the quick map movement of ThunderTalk. Oh, Isaac.
Azure is playing with fire. What a dodge. Dawning Shadow gets the Q down. One last Thunder. Dodges in for the Q. Dodges between the tower. That's the ace for ThunderTalk.
Azure, what was that? He flashed Dashes forward to find the kill, secure the turret, and make sure that this team fight finds its maximum possible conversion. As Joe gets caught out early here, separated from the team. The tidal wave tries to repair the situation, but the damage is done. ThunderTalk can organize their front to back with Feyby soaking up all of the damage, and nobody on Rolster able to access the backline. See Azure, they're just free firing. Nobody even touches them during this team fight.
Thread the needle through the eye of the storm there. As you can see, the ThunderTalk camp starting to get excited, starting to see the finals on the horizon.
See a grand finals in their future, and all they need to do is keep this pace. ThunderTalk have the late game damage advantage. The only thing that goes wrong for them is the next few minutes where Rolster can force a sketchy team fight, use Rattel in particular. And look at this, Rattel's caught off.
Chris is gonna force the Ragnarok on his own. He has been an absolute superstar for the team this series. And this game, maybe his best work yet. S12K trying to make it happen under Isaac, Dawning Shadow. Gonna keep the team safe as Zig chucks out the bomb to try and defend.
Rattel in trouble here.
He knows it, gets tagged. Feyby walks up to the tower instead. They're gonna try and finish this off.
Joe roaming in here, Rattel just struggling on the Olaf. It's not the hard carry he wanted. By eliminating literally the entire top character pool, ThunderTalk have forced Rattel to play a champion that he does not feel comfortable on. And you are seeing it as ThunderTalk press forward. They're down to just the inhibitors now.
This gold lead is massive on the ThunderTalk side, and they are the team that, again, they're the 20-minute team this time around, and they have a gold lead of the mid-game team.
And 4 turrets stand between ThunderTalk and their shot at the Horizon Cup, their shot at the grand finals.
So for Rolster, a team that is not used to being in this situation, they are the team that look to the clock and see if the first numbers are 2, and if it's not, they just vibe and wait until it is. They do not get that luxury this game.
Rolster, I think, have passed the point of no return, frankly. I do not think there is a point at which this game gets better more than at this point. They are always going to be fighting from a disadvantage from here until the end of the game. And if they want to change that, they must step forward and force disadvantaged fights for ThunderTalk. That means around the Baron, around this upcoming Elder Infernal Drift, which may once again decide a game in this series.
Chris is not even interested in the objective, by the way.
No.
He is like fighting people.
Because ThunderTalk understands the only way they lose this game is those disadvantaged fights. So why start the Dragon? Why start the Baron? This is why Rolster are so infamous for taking their time in late games. Because they win the late games usually. But this time, Game 5 of the semifinals, that is no longer true.
Not only are they pressuring this Baron, not only is Chris a side laner now, apparently, but there is 15 seconds until the Infernal Dragon is up. And it is not just any Infernal Dragon. It's the biggest one of all. It's the spiciest one.
It is the Elder Infernal for the ticket to the grand finals. For Rolster and ThunderTalk's tournament lives, they must walk up here and just 5v5 for the game.
For ThunderTalk, it all but seals this game for them. For Rolster, it just keeps them alive. I don't know if it even wins them the game, but they have to fight for it. And Doe
that was
just blind spots him. They just predicted where the Nunu is sitting, and Chris has found the kick that might be the game. Doe flashes out though.
Rattel's too far forward on this TP. He's in trouble.
No, the Ragnarok now is going to have to join the fight as Zua's cutting it out of sea. Flashes out as well. Dawning Shadow picks up the Olaf. There's Doe dead. They can't do it anymore. It's Feyby diving into the backside, dunking onto Isaac. He's going to take down the Ziggs, and Luna is going to try and save the game, but Salem is dead. It's only Luna left alive, and that is the game.
That's the semi-final as ThunderTalk win a team fight around this Elder Infernal Dragon, and they find a complete ace. They find the win they so badly needed, and they've got a 3-2 series victory.
Don't need the game. The next is all they'll take. It is going to be the All-Chinese Finals here at the Horizon Cup as ThunderTalk take down Rolster 3-2.
Absolute cheers on stage, and understandable as they have just secured their ticket to the very first international final here in Wild Rift, and with it made a statement. The Chinese teams, both in the WPL, the franchise league from whence ThunderTalk came, and from the open scene where Dakun Gaming emerged from, both Those sides, the entire region, are the most terrifying in Wild Rift, and all that is left is to settle the domestic score. Which is better, the teams from the franchise leagues or those coming in from the outside?
They're not bad for a pickup team. Makes their way to the final. I'm joking. It is so fun that ThunderTalk have just become a team. Like, I joked about them. They're just kind of playing scrims on stage. Like, yeah, they're just getting better with practice. And turns out on-camera games are also as important as off-camera games.
For a team that started this tournament with only 2 of their original 5, they have not only survived that hardship, I think they have grown during it, as you are right to point out. Every game we see ThunderTalk level up. And for the first time this tournament, I think we can safely say that series was not won on Z's back.
No.
He looked good in that game 5, but Z did not make the difference. That was found through the rest of his team, in particular through Chris coming out of the jungle.
Oh my god, Chris.
Dominating games 1 and 2, goes quiet as he's shut down, as there's increased focus on the late game and it's harder for Lee Sin to find impact. And then they give him a game 5 where the early game is what matters, and Chris yet again delivers a victory.
Chris popping off, Z hard carrying some of those games and still playing well. Azure showing range as a carry player. S12K continuing to build profile on every support champion and making it work. And Fabai growing as a Baron laner. Not this story we expected. He was supposed to be a star mid laner. And he just moves it around because it happens sometimes.
Fabai, the longest serving member of this team, by the way. This roster, of course, before it got shuffled up because none of their visas came through, he was the player who was from the original team that competed all the way back at the very beginning of the WPL. And for him to last all the way through all of those roster changes, have to swap roles up to the Baron lane to make room for Z, and still be able to deliver here with carry performances, with utility performances, be exactly what is necessary to contain Rattel in that final game. That is one of the most impressive stories at this event.
And the throne is now theirs for the taking for ThunderTalk and the approaching best player in the world in Z. So let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Test as we look towards our first international Wild Rift Finals.
Thank you very much, Pastry and TJ. Great cast on the day. GGTT. We entered this tournament with 2 teams from China. We end this tournament with the 2 teams from China. Dakun Gaming and ThunderTalk Gaming will fight it out for the Horizon Cups, Max.
And these 2 teams have not played against each other up until this point. So this could not have been a better final matchup for the Chinese rosters. One coming from the WPL and the other from the Open League that we mentioned from the cast. They finally get a chance to play against each other in a competitive series, and it's the best of 7 finals.
Yeah, it's so amazing to see the Chinese super teams living up to the hype and making it an all-Chinese grand finals. Such class in the game, and macro and strategy and mechanics. They really did put absolute clinics on, and through everyone they faced, and now no one stands in front of them but their own competitors or rivals from their own region. And at the same time, I mean, big congrats to both Korea and SEA for having a team each reach the final top 4 of the Horizon Cup. It's truly an amazing feat to accomplish, and the regional fans should definitely be behind their players celebrating their accomplishment.
And that's what I wanted to highlight from this last series. ThunderTalk got pushed to the brink, and you really learn about yourself, Max, when you are pushed to your limits and possibly beyond, as ThunderTalk really was cruising up until this point.
They learned a lot about themselves, and we learned a lot about them as well, as we got 5 amazing games of ThunderTalk and Rolster Y. But ThunderTalk coming out ahead in the end. And I really love the way that the casters highlighted that it wasn't just off the back of Z. The whole team really got involved. They really stepped it up. And specifically, Chris is my big standout player from this. It feels like he really had a jungle gap in nearly all 5 of those games, maybe all 5 of them, especially early.
Yeah, let's take a look at the highlights from that final game number 5. Forced upon by Rolsters, they won game number 4, and it looked okay here. The dive from the bottom side didn't go well. A great tidal wave by Salem caught out multiple members, and Rolster was able to capitalize here, Rocky.
Yeah, I mean, the early game did go in the favor of Rolster, and it was due to their composition. They needed to push the advantage. You know, picks like the Lucian Nami, the Olaf, they all need gold to be able to win and beat out the scaling of Orianna and Senna later on. And once that was the situation walking away from the draft, I knew Rolster was going to lose this game because that's just not their playstyle. And at the same time, it's amazing that ThunderTalk recognized how to win this series after trying so many different variations and finally finding the right adaptation to just play for the team fighting, just play for the scaling, because like I said, Rolster Y aren't too comfortable pushing early game advantages.
It just feels like whenever ThunderTalk got that early start out the gate, it just completely blew things wide open for them. And I mean, the objective fights being this one-sided as well certainly helped. I really like the way that they were able to move around this Ziggs as well, because Ziggs you'd think of as this really big hyper-scaling champion for Rolster Y, but he just wasn't being able to find effective moments and effective positioning in these team fights when the Lee Sin and the Darius are just bouncing around, making his life just so scary.
Yeah, it definitely was. Again, just the fact that multiple members were able to do this. Sorry, Rocky, go ahead.
No, I was just going to highlight the fact that, you know, so many members are stepping up on the side of ThunderTalk. It's no longer just the Z pulling his team through. I think Chris did a fantastic job in this game. He truly was jungle gapping so many smite secures, so many plays, and then the rest of the team as well. Feibai coming in with the Darius, expanding his champion pool. It looked really good all around for ThunderTalk Gaming, and they look more like a team now rather than just a one-man show.
Well, one player that we expected a lot from was the man in the mid lane. It's Z, and we could take a look at the stats from this series alone. In those wins, 8-3-3, 1-1-7 where he was a facilitator, but that's still an 8 KDA.
Okay.
And then a perfect KDA in game 5.
Look at the damage share in game 2. That is nearly 45%. I just want to do some quick math for everybody. Usually you are 20% of your team because it's a team of 5 players. He is more than double 20% of his team's damage in that game 2 victory. That is an absurd number for this player moving into the finals.
And remember, he shot calls too, Araki.
Yeah, and the KP, I think, comes through. I think that's because of his shot calling. He is so involved in every play that the team does make. 80%, 84%. Only the first game was a little bit on the lower end, but still, I mean, amazing numbers across the board for Z, and it perfectly, you know, illustrates what we talked about before, and this guy being the best laner at the tournament.
Now let's take a look over at Rolster as they fall valiantly 3-2 after a great fight back here. They found ways through the top lane in Rattel. Isaac, after a shaky first couple of games, found his footing. I think Luna also, after a couple of shaky games, found a good game, but they weren't quite able to get over the hump here in the final games, Max.
Yeah, the last game was not the way that I was hoping that it would go out. I was really hoping, crossing my fingers to see if Luna would finally pull out this Corki that I know he's so good at, but didn't end up happening. He did go to a different carry champion in the Lucian, but they just didn't get that early game started for him quite as heavy as we've seen other Lucian and Lucian Nami lanes in specific really pop off with. I'm talking about Team Secret from yesterday specifically. So it was a little bit disappointing for me for that, because I just love his Corki so much. But what wasn't disappointing was the fact that they were just so close to that reverse sweep. It was just this close.
Araki, final thoughts here on Rolster Y.
Well, I would like to reiterate my point. I think the fans behind both Rolster Y as well as Team Secret, who did lose earlier in the first semifinals that we watched today, I think the fans should definitely celebrate the accomplishment of these teams. Coming in top 4 at the Horizon Cup is a huge feat, like I said. And, you know, if I was in their place, I'm pretty sure they're going to feel sad for a little bit, but later on, they're going to look back and they're going to recognize how far they did come and the success they had this year.
Yeah, hats off to Team Secret from earlier. Hats off to Rolster for how much they grew and the fantastic fight they put up in the semifinals. They did fall to ThunderTalk, and here's the Tigress with the G, known as Z, from TT.
Welcome to the post-match interview. We know who our final team is going to be. ThunderTalk Gaming securing their spot here to face DKG. Now, I just have to know right off the bat, what was that series like for you? Dominating first 2 games, but going the distance for the rest.
对于你们来讲，很恭喜你们还是进入到了决赛。但还是想问一下，你们在第一、二局之后发生了一些什么，导致你们可能会离开这个比赛的现场？
啊？
就是在你们输掉了后面2局之后，
输掉了后面
3、4局之后
，3、4局之后，
对，
就打着就结束了。哎，怎么说呢？就也没有太在意前面输的吧，没有太去在意我们输掉的那2场比赛，然后想第3把怎么应对吧。
Yeah. Actually, we definitely think we got this game. We could win it. Although we have lost 2 games in a round, but we don't think it's gonna be a problem. What we need to do is just to face up to the game 3.
How much of a problem was Rattel, though? It felt like you, as a team, really started focusing him, using all of your bans against him in that game 5.
对于你们来讲，你觉得就是那2局的问题可能是出在什么地方呢？
那2局问题就是想玩一个是我想玩。然后另一个是有点小瞧了吧，就是有点打得太放松了，然后就是想着去玩一下，然后就这2个问题。
I think during the 3 and 4th game, I'm a little bit like too relaxed. I just want to pick the champion that I haven't used in the Horizon Cup. So maybe that's the reason why I lost the 2 games.
Yeah, why did you end up picking the Vayne? Just to have a different pick, or was there some strategy behind that?
就是在最后1局的时候呢，你为什么会选择这个中单英雄呢？你的选择他的策略是什么？
最后1局的话就是就是我们知道我们是平常是和他们打过很多训练赛的，然后他们也就是基本上就打了差不多10几来把吧，10几场，然后他们就赢了我们1场。老讲我们对他的话就是没有就是特别的那种紧张，因为对我们对他们来说。可能就是应该是他们怕我们，而不是我们怕他们，所以我们一开始气势就打得很好。
OK， 那最后为什么选皎月？就是觉得训练赛有打过。
选皎月。
就是你最后
选的发条。
对。
最后选发条是因为平时就是他扮我英雄。就是他一直扮我杰，他平常的话打训练赛他们被我们杀怕了，被我杰杀怕了，然后就一直扮我杰。训练赛也扮，现在比赛他也连扮我5把。就1把没帮到吧，然后也没什么英雄玩了，然后就想着拿一把法条稳一下嘛，毕竟我法条也是100%胜率，是吧
？Because actually the last game, I thought they have banned my Zed for 5 times of the game, so I just want to pick the champion that was pretty confident with in a scrim. So I just picked the Oriana, because I thought I haven't lose the game with Oriana. It's my 100% rate to get the win.
We really enjoyed seeing that quickly. Is it going to be a win against DKG?
你觉得你们最后一场会赢 DKG 吗？
这个我只能说兄弟们，给你们带来几场就是激动人心的比赛吧，就给你们就是来看我们，毕竟看了我们也这么久了，决赛的话我们给他们打个满满的 BO7吧，然后让大家所有人都享受一下，然后我们。就是也很享受，因为打比赛的话，就是不同于你们看比赛，因为我们打比赛可能会在其中的话，就是会更享受其中的一些过程，然后所以打得很舒服。我希望明天的话，可以的话就打个 BO7 打满，然后我们最好的是我们4比7 4比3他们。
Actually, we think it's the last round of the game for us, so we want to enjoy the game. So although we can win DKG, but we still need to pull 4 7 rounds of the game. So I think maybe we're gonna like 4-3 to them.
All right, it's gonna be so fun to watch. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for the interview, Z.
谢谢你接受他的采访 ，Thank you.
Thank you.
What a wild ride Wild Rift Rising Cup has been, everyone. Thank you for tuning in thus far. Stay tuned for the rest.
Thank you very much, Gabby and Spax. Those were some long answers from me.
I fully believe that he is the shot caller after those answers because he did not stop talking.
I know, Gabby was like, quick answer, and it was not a quick answer, and there's great reason why. He had a full thought about it beforehand and needed to share it. Araki, getting into the mind of a player like Z, one of the best in the world, and he whips out champions, and he's like, yeah, I just want to play something that I've never played before. That's normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, doing that as well as just pulling off the Orianna that he said he felt very confident on to pull through a very, very important game. It really just shows the resilience that ThunderTalk do have. For those who don't know, to qualify to the Horizon Cup, ThunderTalk had to drop to the losers bracket in the LPL qualifier and make a run through it all the way back to the grand finals and then clean sweep OMG. So this team is very, very good about good in playing long series and best of 5, best of 7. So it going into the grand finals, I think it shows really good possibilities for them and really good expectations as well against DKG, even though they're a very tough opponent.
Well, earlier today, La Tigris caught up with our player of the series from the first series between Dakun Gaming and Team Secret. Here's what DKG's Emo had to say.
After that semifinal series, Dakun Gaming become the first to secure their spot in the grand finals of this Wild Rift Horizon Cup. And following such a victory, I am joined by the support player in Emo. I know both of the teams had predicted a 3-0, but it did go a bit differently. What are your thoughts on how both Team Secret and DKG performed here today?
OK， 那么首先要恭喜你们成为了第一个锁定了决赛名额的队伍。然后想问一下，其实今天两边都预测了3-0的这个比分，但是事实上呢都没有成功的拿下这个比分。想问一下，你觉得对于你们来讲的话，你们跟另外一支队伍 TS 来讲，是一个什么样的一个对战情况呢？
就我们不失误的话，应该是不会输1小分的。那局失误比较大吧。
Actually, we think we made some mistakes during the BO2, so it's gonna be like if we couldn't lose that game, we're gonna like 3-0. That should be our best scores for that term.
Yeah, it was an interesting series to watch for sure because there was all this draft versatility. What was your team's response to seeing the Lucian come out in the top lane and more beyond that?
那其实对于你们来讲的话，你们的这个单人路在可能整个负起的一个责任会比较重大一些。对于你们来讲，你们单人路的话，主要的负责的一些是什么呢？
就抗压不死，打团扛住就行了。
Our top laner should be the best tanky one in our team, so that he need to push the lane for the bottom lane, for the top lane, so that he couldn't be die for once.
Very interesting drafts to come out from you all as well in the last game. What did make you as a team decide to pivot towards bringing out that bot lane? You know, you had the Blitzcrank, you had the Brand as well.
对你们来讲，最后一局选择了火男搭配机器人的这个选择非常的罕见。为什么这样选呢？
这局比较好用，然后我们平常训练赛玩的也比较多。
Okay, because we think it's a good draft to into the draft from Team Secret, and we have recently do some training during our scrims.
Yeah. Yeah, lots to learn during that scrim performance. You do have to face off against the victor from the other semifinal series. Which team would you prefer to face, and what do you think you're going to be able to pull off against them?
你们下一场的话，还要对阵的是下一个半决赛选出来的一个胜者队伍。你觉得哪个队伍是你们更想要遇见的？
打 TT 吧，感觉 TT 比较好打一点。
Actually, we want to face up again with the TT because we think ThunderTalk Gaming gonna be easier to beat up.
All right, I know we all look forward to seeing that. Thank you for stopping by for the interview. More Horizon Cup to come, everybody.
Thank you for that, Gabby. And he asked for ThunderTalk Gaming. He'll get ThunderTalk Gaming, but Araki, I don't know if it's actually the easier team to beat up after what we saw.
Yeah, I doubt it is the easier team to beat, but I think the big takeaway is that DKG are looking a lot more confident than Z did in the interview. So perhaps they have a lot prepared and they know this team very well, and it would make sense that they would want to face them if that was the case.
Or maybe they're just taking a page out of their recent opponent's book and they're keeping things a secret in the interview and not revealing everything like Z did.
I like it there. Well, we'll get to find out tomorrow when we return for the first Wild Rift International Final in a best-of-7 between DKG and TT. What are your initial thoughts on the finals, Arakizora?
I mean, my initial thoughts is that I'm just gonna watch this as a fan, as a spectator, as an enjoyer of pinnacle of Wild Rift gameplay, because these two teams are insane, and I think they're gonna show us how Wild Rift is meant to be played. So I'm just gonna be writing down in my notebook and trying to learn from them.
Smack.
Woo! Let's go Wild Rift Finals! We're going to a Game 7! Woo-hoo-hoo!
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that both these teams got pushed today. It wasn't just a clean sweep in the series here, and we got to see them panic a little bit, right? Hey, look, both teams are, were able to bleed a little bit, and it also showed the quality that this whole tournament had throughout. All right, y'all, 2 teams, 1 region for a shot at winning the first ever Wild Rift International Tournament. ThunderTalk Gaming, Dakun Gaming. Who will take the crown? Find out tomorrow. We'll catch y'all later.